There you go. Black boy, remember me? That actually did happen to me, that a girl came forward saying that I was the father of her young child and took me to a solicitor's office. I had never even heard of the woman. And long story short, somebody was pretending to be me, leaving her house every night around 9 o'clock after taking advantage of a body. And when I got there, she said, "That's not him." I was so relieved. But somebody'd been using my name for his betterment, and certainly not hers. Anyway, let's crack on, because we have somebody very, very special to talk to. And his name is Richard Lawrence. He's a very special gentleman who knows an awful lot more about some of the things that we are most passionate about. Dr. Helen Sharman, of course, who went up into space to the space station Mir in May 1991, says that aliens are not only real, but they're probably living amongst us right now. We get Richard's take immediately after this on Alan Robson's Night Owls.
Call Alan Robson's Night Owls now.
0191 488 3188.
This is real life conversation with the voice of the North.
Greatest Hits Radio.
Now, the last time I talked to this fella, we were talking about deep spirituality and the Ethereal Society and 1,000 other things. Tonight, we've got something else to talk about. Richard Lawrence, hello.
Hi, Alan. How are you?
It's great to hear from you, Richard. Thanks for being with us again.
Oh, I love coming on your show. Thanks for inviting me.
Bless you, mate. It's just Dr. Helen Sharman, again, someone who people take seriously. This is a professional woman. She's got a good head on her shoulders. She's not dotty, crazy, drug-addled. She's all the things that it's very, very hard to disparage. She's got it all there. She insists aliens may not be made up of carbon and nitrogen like us, but it's very likely they're here right now and we simply can't see them, or they're living amongst us. Now, this is something that you've believed for the longest time.
I have, and we've talked about it before, and I was also thrilled. I was also very pleased. It was she gave this interview in the Observer magazine, and strangely enough, I used to have a column, Alan, in the Observer magazine about 10 years ago on mind and body, and they would never let me go in the third direction, which was spirit. I wanted mind, body, and spirit.
Sure.
Never mind getting to things like aliens and invisible aliens, and here we have an astronaut, who's done just that, which is great, and congratulations to her. And yes, I think she's opened up something that, you're right, I have believed in for many years, and in the Ethereal Society we believe in, which is not only higher planets or other planets, but other planes
now,
of existence.
Before we dive into that, because that is what she intimated during a conversation, essentially all she should have said was, Richard Lawrence has been right all this time. However, if we look at what she said, and she didn't mince her words, she was very straightforward.
Yeah.
She didn't use highfalutin talk to try and cover over and hide in the shadows. She came right out into the light with this. Does this not automatically mean that from this point on, she'll be classed as a cracker? Because, I mean, a couple of other astronauts have come out and said, well, I saw this, I heard that, I believe astronauts exist, and they're pushed out to the periphery.
Yeah, well, actually, after this, I made a point of looking into some of the other astronauts who've stuck their head above the parapet, and as you say, sometimes had things thrown at them for doing so.
Yeah.
But they've had the guts to stand firm. Like, for example, Edgar Mitchell, who maintained throughout his life, and he was back on Apollo 14 in 1971. But he didn't only say that there's alien life out there and extraterrestrial visitations, and he said the governments have been lying to us, and he carried on saying it till his passing. And another one was Gordon Cooper, and we could go on. I noticed one, actually, called Chris Hadfield, and he said, and he was former commander of the International Space Station, and he said, I don't know of any astronauts who think that we're alone in the universe. So I hopefully Helen Sharman won't be attacked too much, because she certainly isn't alone. And there's also cutting-edge science as well, which, theoretical physics and so on, which is pointing to a multi-dimensional universe. So the idea that, you've got to have life as we know it, with the exact conditions we have on Earth, in order for intelligent life to exist, is not believed by a lot of scientists today. Of course, scientists don't agree with each other, mind you.
Right. But Chris Hadfield, again, if memory serves, was Canadian. And,
you know more than me then. I was wondering that.
He was a Canadian astronaut that went up to the space station, and he's an ex-fighter pilot as well. So once again, somebody with a bit of nous, a bit of credibility there, and also you find that they're almost like outposts across the planet. There's our Canadian astronaut who believes. Here's our American. We've got Helen Sharman. There's our British astronaut to believe. But let's take a look at this now. If Helen believes, there's no two ways about it, aliens exist, we simply can't see them, or they're living amongst us looking like us, and who knows. From time to time, people like yourself and like myself, we've taken a look at the possibilities of what they could be. What's most likely then, Richard, if we accept the premise?
Yes, I accept it completely, as you know, and I think, you see, another point I'd make, which is related to what you asked, is that it's not a nutty idea. It's not an eccentric idea at all.
Well, that's where they've put it, though.
I know they do, but you'll remember Patrick Moore.
Yes, absolutely.
And I remember going on the BBC TV with him in the 1980s, and he then said there is no life out there other than Earth. He might not have included plant life, but there is no intelligent humanoid or other life out there. This is the only inhabited planet in the universe, and that's only 35 years ago or so. Of course, now...
Do you think that was maybe the BBC view in general?
Well, I think a lot of people were thinking things like that. He was quite firm on it. Of course, I believe that he changed his mind later, as you'd have to, because now they know there are billions of planets out there. They know that there is life, and they have found planets, a number of them. I'm not sure the exact number, but what they call the Goldilocks planets, which can sustain life as we know it. In other words, can sustain the type of life we have here on Earth. Never mind other forms of life. So, that view is gone. So I think, and opinion polls also, which I was looking at a few today, both in America and Britain, don't show this to be at all of an eccentric belief. There's one poll within the last couple of years in America, I think a Gallup poll, I believe, in which it said that 16% of Americans believe that they've seen a UFO.
Yeah.
Now, that's something approaching 50 million people. It must be. That's almost the adult population of Britain.
But you see, falling in with the negative publicity against the whole alien thing, because you know yourself that every president before they get in, including Trump, said, oh, don't worry, when I get in, I'm going to tell you everything about UFOs. And then he's been stum ever since, which is like every other president before him. But if we see what the media does, and it makes you feel like I'm up against this wall that people are keeping up to frighten us, or to say you're stupid and ridiculous, and do you know what I mean? They make you feel silly.
Vested interest. I think first of all, it's a weird thing, is it not, that the departments that these UFO reports are made to are defense departments, when the one thing that the defense departments say is that they are no threat to our defenses. So they shouldn't then be made to those departments at all. And, there is certainly a sort of quasi-military kind of, censorship or whatever, cover-up for sure. There have been lies. There are X-Files. That's not just a film. And we know all that. I've brought a number out of various countries myself.
Sure.
That's well known now. In fact, it's a strange thing, again, when I used to be talking about this, and I think I've been doing this probably as long as you've been on the air. I don't know, but, I remember, and you'll remember, if you went out then and you said, well, governments are lying to you, they're covering this up, people thought you were a bit of a nutter, a bit of a conspiracy theory nutter, just for saying that. But now, today, if I went out and said, look, governments are telling you the truth, I'd be laughed out of town.
Yeah.
Nobody
absolutely.
believes governments anymore. So that's one big change that I've noticed.
So okay, let's just cut to a chase then, Richard, if I may.
Yeah.
Aliens live amongst us.
Right,
Discuss. Now,
Yeah.
if we can't see them, do they have any bearing on our existence? And the question beyond that is, if we can see them, how do we know how to interact with them?
Well, I believe they do. I believe that there's a long-term subtle plan, and one of the first things to say is that UFOs is not a new thing. It's a new name for it. I mean, flying saucers was what it used to be called, which is a pathetic name for it, really, when you think about how beautiful some of these sightings are. But they go back. They go back thousands of years. The earliest records we have, written records, I believe, are the Hindu scripts, and they are full of accounts of UFOs, or Vimanas, as they call them in Sanskrit, the Bible, and so on and so on. It is so to answer your point there, it's a consistent thing. The interaction between extraterrestrial visitors and beings on this, people on this planet, has been with us through the centuries. It's in numerous traditions, Native American and many others, and it's among us. What is interesting, I think, is the sort of subtle plan, you might say, that they have, because clearly they don't wish at this point in time to prove beyond all doubt to every disbeliever, everyone who's insisting on disbelieving, because I think there's willful disbelief by a lot of people. They're not out to force them to change their minds yet. I think that time could come. I think that they will come openly among us. So at the moment, they're playing a subtle game. Having said that, according to these polls I looked at this evening, more people believe in them than don't, and more people believe in UFOs than don't. That's little known. So lots of people out there who think, well, I'm in a minority. Actually, you're not in a minority. Lots of people believe in these things.
Yeah, but let's just again, I know this is kind of interview about a million things on fast forward. I do get that. But if we look at the way that tribes past have interacted with beings, whether they're in India or whether they're in South America with Incas or Mayans and what have you, it always seems to have been, here comes the superior beings coming to this planet to either guide us, help us, organize us, help us build things that we couldn't build for ourselves. But they're always smarter than us and more highly technically developed than we are. Surely they have to then, they're not going to come here and sneak in, are they? They're going to come here and say, ta-da, surely.
Yeah, if they wanted to do that, I believe they could easily do that. And, I mean, that's why those people who put out the view that we should be frightened of them, that they're hostile, and there is that, particularly in the UFO movement, as I'm sure you've come across, and with abductions and so forth. That's absurd to me. That's absurd. Well, let me put it this way. If there are hostile alien beings out there, and there may be, we are protected from them, because the facts are, as you rightly say, whether we like it or not, they are superior to us, both in technology and, I would say, in behavior in every respect. They aren't landing here, invading the world, imperializing the planet, taking it over. If they were hostile, if they wanted to conquer us, there'd be no Independence Day with, the American president flying in a jet to defend us. We'd be finished.
Trump, could you imagine? Doing that. You imagine Trump going to take over that plane? My goodness, you wouldn't want to be in the way.
And, talking of that, it's quite interesting that some people who've been working in the Pentagon and some people who've disclosed that the secrets, the military secrets they've encountered, they have used interesting phraseology that the UFOs and the extraterrestrials experiences and sightings, which have come out of the U.S. Navy in the last few years and elsewhere, they have no resemblance whatsoever to terrestrial aircraft, because that's another excuse that's used. They're secret military aircraft that are being tested, by American government or so on. And no, these experts have said there's nothing in the inventory, I think that's the word they use, in America or any other country which can duplicate these feats of going from 50,000 feet to 100 feet in a matter of seconds.
I think the whole thing is fascinating, and I've been feeling over recent years that we just seem to be getting close to the breakthrough, but it always seems we're getting closer. We're getting closer without ever actually reaching the damn thing. And
I know what you mean. But I do think, though, that there is a change, but it's also a question, I believe, of people taking an interest in it themselves. You know, when people are really interested, I do believe they'll come closer, and I do think they are very psychological beings from other worlds, and they know us probably better than we know ourselves. We are talking about some of the greatest intelligences through history, at a spiritual level anyway, who've come, I believe Jesus, I believe Buddha, I know this is controversial, but Sri Krishna. Beings like that, I believe, did come from other planets. I don't think the Star of Bethlehem was a star.
Sure.
And they are, you say, of superior intelligence, yes, but they're humble in a way, and they're very, very compassionate intelligences.
So why come here where we're a bunch of aggressive troublemakers?
To help us. I mean, that's, it's strange to us maybe, but they have a great compassion for us, a love for us, I believe. And I believe they're helping us in unseen ways. I mean, one interesting case that I was involved in some years ago was the Chernobyl disaster. And I was with Dr. George King in Arizona, actually, just hours before that happened. And he was, as we've discussed before, a contactee. He received communications. I genuinely believe that. I don't expect people to take my word for it. I mean, have a look at it and if you're interested. But he got a communication in my presence just before Chernobyl. He wasn't told it was Chernobyl, but he was told there was going to be a disaster and it was necessary for cooperation with UFOs and so forth, and he engaged in that.
How did the communication occur then? Because presumably you didn't text him. So how did they get the message through to him then? On what kind of device?
They communicated. I mean, he was a medium, you might say, but not like your average. I mean, no disrespect to the average medium, but it was a very different level, I would say. I mean, I do channeling myself, and it's nothing like what he did.
Right.
He was a very accomplished master, really, of telepathy and that sort of practice, and he was able to receive these communications. In this particular case, he wrote it down. But, there were occasions when it was actually communicated through him in trance. But this occasion it wasn't.
Because you see, as soon as you start going down that road, all of the people that 10 minutes ago was going, yes, I've always thought we had aliens. Now they've started to go, oh, hang on a second.
I know, but I can't withhold the truth just because, I'd like to say what's popular, but I just have to say it like it is, really.
No, sure.
And the reason I mentioned Chernobyl, the only reason I mention it is that he published, and I know, and it's provable, people can check it, that there was UFO cooperation which reduced the impact. It certainly didn't stop it, but reduced the impact of Chernobyl. And 16 years later, it was revealed that a crowd of people had seen a UFO. That was revealed by Pravda, the former Soviet journal, had seen over Chernobyl a UFO. It had emitted a beam of light onto the Chernobyl plant, and this was fully covered. I've got the whole report, and I've written about it in my books and so on.
Sure.
And it was all verified. Just one example of, but the point I'm making there is their interest in helping us as much as they can. But what they won't do, I believe, is to take over the world and sort all our problems out for us and basically leave us completely impotent. We'd learn nothing. They are believers in the necessity to learn the lessons of life, I'm afraid.
Yeah, but just recently they've noticed Donald Trump and Boris Johnson, they've got to be shaking their head thinking, shall we not try Venus instead?
I think, that's when you look at some of the world leaders we've had through history, that's probably mild. Yeah.
Hey, Richard, bless you. We're going to ask the good people what they think about this whole thing. If they want to find out more about you and the things you do, where do they go?
They go to my website is just richardlawrence.co.uk, and the Aetherius Society, of which I'm secretary. I've been secretary for 40 years, believe it or not now.
Well done, you.
And that has a website, great website, which is not done by me, but it's very well done, I must say. And it's Aetherius, erius.org.
Wonderful. Hey, great talking to you. I'm sure we'll talk again. Thank you,
hope
Richard.
So. Nice to talk to you. Thank you.
All the best, man. Thank you. Well, what do you make of that? Do you agree? Do you disagree? And you know what I was saying with regard to as soon as you get into, he received a message from the aliens by mental telepathy. As soon as you get to that, all of those episodes of Star Trek that you could truly believe that's the future, suddenly they go, maybe not. Maybe we're not that far down the road yet. Dr. Helen Sharman believes that we are. What have you got to say? 0191 488 3188. We shall speak of that and anything else you want to talk about. We mentioned Tehran before. Raymond from Jarrow, I gather, wants a word about that. Hi, Raymond.
Oh, Alan, mate, I'm not from Jarrow, but I will be soon.
Right.
Right, Richard Lawrence was very interesting, actually, I was listening to.
Yeah.
There's only one problem.
Mm-hmm.
I got a present from my lass for Christmas, and it's called OK Google. And I asked it, and it didn't answer. It said it didn't understand us. And I said about 5 or 6 times, it said about the same question what he was saying. It says didn't understand us. So I asked it, and it understood her, but she's Slovakian. Oh, it's talking there now.
Oh, there's definitely a conspiracy going on, isn't there?
Definitely something on there. Like, definitely. The thing is, I was going to tell you, is I put my house up for sale. I live in Sunderland at the moment. I put my house up for sale 3 weeks ago.
Right. Good luck.
And it sold within 3 weeks.
Oh, get
I'm
in
from
there.
Jarrow originally. Yeah, I'm from Jarrow originally. I was born and bred there, you know.
Right.
So I sold my house here within 3 weeks. Bought a house in Jarrow within 3 weeks. So I'm just waiting for it to go through now.
That's ridiculous. I know people that have been on, had houses up for sale for 5 years with Brexit and everything, nobody wanting to buy and stuff. That's, I mean, you were selling this for like more than £25, I'm guessing.
Well, put it this way, they said they're going to give it for a Provident. I said, I don't mind Provident, but as long as it's not from Lloyd's.
Right.
Dominican.
So you're one of the luckiest people on planet Earth, because I bet everybody else that's currently waiting for the offer. They're all spitting feathers.
What happened was, within the week, there was a gentleman from heaven that came to buy it, but he was a girl who buys it to rent out, you know.
All right, yeah.
I didn't fancy that, like, to be honest. And there was a young couple come along from round this area, and they offered us the price basically where I paid for it. I just wanted to get rid of it so I could move back to Jarrow, you know.
Right.
So they gave us the price I wanted, and I give it to them. But then the estate agent come back and said, would you get us to get in touch with that gentleman again? I said, no, we'll just give it to this young couple here, you know.
Right, so he was trying to turn it into a bidding kind of thing, I suppose.
Yeah, I didn't want to do that. These young couple are from here. I'll give it to them.
Great.
Now, I've got the money where I paid for it.
Right.
And now, obviously, I went back to the house and where I'm buying in Jarrow. And
Isn't it funny, though, the yearning for home, even if home is just... I mean, Sunderland to Jarrow is no distance at all, but you've just... I've always felt this, you've got to get home, haven't you?
It's the air, mate. It's a different kind of air. Don't go there. Don't go there, Alan. Alan,
everybody on Wearside's...
I'm a Geordie, don't go there.
Everybody on Wearside's just opened the window and you're going, what's he talking about?
Well, my house is not far from Bolton, and I just open the windows every time and just blows the air out. I'm saying no more people kick me head in.
I've got a sneaky suspicion they're going to be chasing you out. You're not going to be just moving. They'll be running after that removal van.
But as I say, within a few weeks it's sold, and I've bought another house.
Good.
And the lass I'm moving in with is, as I've mentioned it before, she's from Slovakia.
Yes.
We're moving in together and that, you know.
Great.
But the thing is, she bought us this OK Google thing for Christmas. And every time I talk to the thing, it keeps saying, I don't understand you. When she talks, now her English is good, but it's not as like my English. It answers that perfectly. And I'm going, why isn't it one answer me?
I was going to say, everybody in Wearside's wishing that it was a Mackem on the other end of that OK Google.
And if I said to it, whose keys are these? It would have answered it straight away.
What was this about Tehran? You wanted to mention something to do with Tehran as well. What was that?
Yeah. Well, I was watching on the news, this thing with the aeroplane going down and that,
Uh-huh.
And And obviously with this ambassador being arrested and all that, I think that's just a ploy on Iran's side, trying to discredit the British. That's all on his side. The guy didn't do that. He went to a
vigil, I think he said.
It wasn't a protest. It was sorry, what's it called?
Vigil.
Yeah, a visual, just for the people that died, you know. And they tried to make it more. They've shut down that plane. Yes, it was an accident, full stop. We know they didn't do it on purpose. They wouldn't have done it on purpose. But at the end of the day, they've done it. They've admitted it a week later, almost a week later.
Because the first week it was, well, it wasn't us. And then yes, it was. But isn't this just what the Americans want? Because they want to discredit Iran as best they can in the world terms.
And you know what it is? The Americans are just to blame as much as them, in a sense. Not all the way. I mean, they're the ones that did it, but they provoked them, you know, the way they're going on.
Right.
They've killed this guy. Now, the way I've understood is this guy that they've killed, this general or colonel, wherever he is.
Yeah, general.
They've killed him. But the way I understand it, he was going into Iraq, and he calmed down between the Sunni and the Shiite.
Yes.
He calmed them down because they were arguing all the time, and then he would go back to Iran, and that would be it. They knew he would be doing that, and they went after him on purpose to kill him. Yeah, he's killed thousands of people. Have the Americans not? Have we not done it?
Yeah, this is the thing. When people start talking about, because he's a general, he's been responsible for hundreds of deaths all over the place. Blimey, how many deaths do you think lie on the doorstep of Tony Blair, for heaven's sake?
Exactly.
You know, I think you've got to be careful before you start chucking those kind of remarks about. But then again, nowadays it's not just remarks, it's drones, isn't it?
I know. Can I tell you something else, Alan?
Yeah, of course.
The job I'm in now, right? My boss came to us a few weeks ago and he says, could I have a word with you?
Yeah.
This is 6:15 because I work 4 days on, 4 days off. And he'd come to us on the night time. I was a night shift.
Right.
6:15, and I thought, well, if he's staying behind for to talk to us, he could have a word with you.
Right.
He says, can you remember the 27th of February? I goes, the 27th of February? He goes, 1989. I goes, that's the way I started. He goes, oh, I forgot to give you a present. I've been working there for almost 31 years now. 250 quid.
Well, thank you very much. Just when you needed to move or buy a proper OK Google with somebody that you understand. Hey, great talking to you, Raymond. Thank you for coming on and good luck with that move.
Alan, can I ask you one more thing?
Of course.
One more thing. Yeah, I've been watching a TV show called The Vikings. You watch it?
I haven't seen it. I've seen it, but I haven't watched the show.
I'm on for the last series. I'll not mention it, obviously. I'm not doing any spoilers or anything.
It's my kind of thing by the sound of things, yeah.
Oh, Alan, it's absolutely fantastic. It's not fully the true story because there's obviously a lot of fiction in it.
Right.
But, for example, Rollo, I don't know if you know who Rollo is, and he was a brother of Ragnar.
Right.
He was actually, the part, season 3, I think it was, or season 4, where he invaded France. And the King of France says, we'll give you Normandy if you protect Paris and France and that, you know.
Right.
That's based on a true story because he was the great-great-grandfather of William the Conqueror in true life.
Wow.
Just saying for people, when they watch it. It's a really good show, but it's not 100% true because Ragnar and Rollo were supposed to be brothers. There was about 30, 40 years between them.
Right,
so they didn't know each other.
They just hide a bit of good history in the same bucket. That's what they've done.
Well, I think it's great. Hey, thanks very much, Alan.
Hey, great stuff, Raymond. All the best, man. Take care.
You too, miss.
Bye-bye. Hey, how do you sell your house within 3 weeks and then buy another one within 3 weeks? That's just ridiculous. It's the dream of everybody selling, but it's ridiculous. Now, it's greatest hits. We play greatest hits, but I thought tonight the greatest hits is going to be one of my sessions, one of my little glittering gems. And I must admit, this is a woman that you can't help but fall in love with when you sit beside her and realise that she, in real life, is just as cute and funny as she is when you see her on the television. It was my time with Gwen Stefani, and no doubt, and yes, she sang this song.
You and me, we used to be together, every day together, I know just what you're saying, so please stop explaining. Don't tell me 'cause it hurts. And don't speak, I know what you're thinking. I don't need your reasons. Don't tell me 'cause it hurts. Our memories, they can be inviting, but some are all together mighty frightening. Oh, as we die above, you and I, with my head in my hands, I sit and cry. Don't speak, I know just what you're saying, so please stop explaining. Don't tell me 'cause it hurts. No, 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 don't speak. I know what you're thinking, and I don't need your reasons. Don't tell me 'cause it hurts. Oh, it's all ending. I gotta stop pretending. Who we are, who are we? You and me, I can see us dying. Are we? You don't speak. I know just what you're saying, so please stop explaining. Don't tell me 'cause it hurts. No, no, don't speak. I know what you're thinking, and I don't need your reasons. Don't tell me 'cause it hurts. Don't tell me 'cause it hurts. I know what you're saying, so please stop explaining. Don't speak, don't speak, don't speak. Oh, I know what you're thinking. I don't need your reasons. I know you're good. I know you're good. I know you're real good. Oh, la di da da da, la di da da da. Don't. Oh, oh, darling. Oh, hush, hush, darling. Hush, hush, don't tell me 'cause it hurts.
How great was that? Whoa! Blimey, that was worth tuning in for on its own. Right, now do not forget tomorrow morning with Rossi. It's a game that's driving the country mad. A brand new greatest hit to identify. Now, monies have been up to about £1,600 to win. This is a lot of cash. Do you know the artist and do you know the title of the song? Tune in tomorrow to find out what it is. And we can tell you it's not Queen's Radio Gaga. A lot of people seem to plump for that. It's not Raspberry Berry by Prince. In Between Days by The Cure. They were all incorrectly guessed over the course of last week. Brand new start tomorrow with Rossi on breakfast. Don't miss it. Give it your go. It's just likely for one of you guys to hear it. Boom, you know what it is right from the start. We got some star guests tonight, including our special guest towards the end of the show, Erasure, going to be chatting to us too. If you're a fan of them, keep it right here on Greatest Hits Radio Northeast.
The voice of the North.
Alan Robson's Night Owls, the phone-in that gets you talking.
Greatest Hits Radio.
Well, as most of you probably realise, I've been a borderer living on the Scottish borders for a lot of years now. And I love Scotland, and I love both sides, funnily. And I know some people choose the Edinburgh Scot. I prefer the Ouija myself. So let's head in that direction. Near Glasgow, it's Balloch. We've got Malcolm. Hi, Malcolm.
Hi, Alan. How are you?
I'm good, mate. So, what's your story?
UFOs.
Yes.
Firstly, on the A68 down in Durham, coming from sort of Darlington end towards Whitton in the Weir.
Right.
Me, my dad and my sister were coming back from St John's Ambulance course, and there was about 5 lights took off from the field adjacent to the 68.
Right.
And just went vertical and then disappeared.
Were all 5 lights separate or connected to the same thing?
They seemed to go, elevate at the same rate, but whether they were connected or separate, I do not know.
No way of knowing. How clearly did you see this then, Malcolm?
As clear as looking at my own hand.
Give over, my God. And nothing there that was remotely...
There was no sound,
earthly, nothing that we could... Because people go, helicopters, weather balloons, you know what they say about stuff like this.
It was clear night, but dark, and like I say, there was no sound, no wind or anything, and he went vertical and then just vanished about 30 foot above the hedge.
And you all saw it, so you could all back each other up?
Yeah, well, except for my sister, who was a bit too young to remember.
Right, sure. So, I mean, what do you think's going on with it all? And should we be told? Are we not bright enough to be able to carry it? Or what do you think?
Personally, I don't think that it's anywhere feasible that we the only intelligent life form in the universe.
Right. So how come somebody hasn't got a hold of one and said, there, you see? Do you know what I mean?
How do you know they haven't?
Well, it's just been kept from us all. That's
so,
possible.
Put it this way, Alan. The sun has got, 8, 9 planets circulating it?
Yeah.
How many stars is out there?
Wow, well, there you go. That's you're going into crazy figures there that we are yet to fully understand, really.
Yeah.
We claim numbers every few years. We claim, there's however many million. Well, we've got no idea at all, have we? We've got no clue in the grand scheme of things.
There's no way on Earth that the sun is the only star with any sort of life form.
Right, okay. Anything else while you're on, Malcolm?
Yeah, I'd just like to mention my fiance's business, Homespun Teddies.
Oh, hang on a second. Homespun?
Teddies.
Teddy?
Teddies.
Yeah, Homespun Teddies.
Yeah,
and are they teddy bears?
They are, yes. They're all handmade by my fiancée.
Right.
And at the minute, she's supporting crafters for the Australian wildlife.
Oh, that's a nice thing to do.
So at the minute, she's making nests and pouches for the animals caught in the fires.
Oh my goodness! Because we've seen massive destruction with wildlife just lying. I'm on your website right now, Homespun Teddies.
I would prefer it if you went onto our Facebook page.
Just purely and simply, it's easier for me to get there.
Yeah.
I'm not linked to Facebook with this one, but they're lovely things. They're beautiful. You've got a wedding couple on the site, I noticed.
And the wedding couple actually going to be a centerpiece in our own wedding.
Oh, that's nice. I'm seeing elephants and I'm seeing a lion with a beautiful red mane.
Yeah, he's my favourite. He's my personal favourite.
Yeah, and there's dragons as well. You've got all kinds here.
We've got some sleep monsters that help chase away the bad monsters, and my niece and nephew both love them. The unicorn.
I'm seeing them now. They're all popping up at random.
She absolutely loves that. My nephew, who, believe it or not, my mum and dad came up to Scotland and asked, what do you want from Scotland? Another dinosaur.
Brilliant. No, that's nice. Hey, they're lovely things, and they're unique looking too. I mean, unique to her, I suppose, because it's her designs of these things. Lovely,
they all her
lovely
designs,
things.
and they all handmade to order. We do offer bespoke service as well. We've just had an order sent just after Christmas. Somebody wanted a staffy.
A staffy, right? So,
and
right.
The picture he sent us, it looked either black or dark brown. And we were like, oh, what colour is it? Brown with a white chest.
Right.
So we couldn't see the chest whatsoever. So we were like, oh, okay. When he sent us the next picture, it actually had white toes on each foot.
Right.
And
so you got to crochet some extra bits on that one, I'm guessing.
Yeah, my fiance made it, and he's absolutely over the moon with it. His wife adores it.
Great. Hey, so let everybody have a look. Homespun Teddies, ideally on Facebook. Go and have a look.
Ideally on Facebook, yeah.
The home
we have issues with the website.
Right, you are. The home of crocheted teddies, if that's... and they can do them for you from a photo as well. So if you fancy getting that done, that's tremendous. Hey, good talking to you, Malcolm. All the best, man.
Thank you, Alan.
No worries. Bye-bye. There you go. I'll talk to Alan, but I'll do a bit of business in the meanwhile, and why the hell not? That's what I say. Now, I haven't given you your first clue yet about greatest hits. And they all are kind of attached to greatest hits, I have to say. The first clue, what two things drives Australia's bush disaster? It's one hot thing and one blowy thing. You've got to put them together, okay? One hot thing and one blowy thing. Put those two together. What drives Australia's bush disaster? Two things you've got to write down now. Write them down now. And I've been very kind to give you more than I really should. So there is your start. 3 more clues to come. Get ready for them coming your way very, very soon indeed. Now, we had Malcolm there with his UFO story. Johnny is in Gateshead. I think he's got one as well. Hi, Johnny.
Hi, Alan. Hi, Alan.
Hi. Right. So what's your story about UFOs and stuff?
Well, I have to say it was probably because of you. I'm on this UFO thing because I used to listen to you back in the day for UFO stories. And I can remember years ago you did a one about a gated alien.
Yes, that's right.
I can remember that one, and that one keeps on popping up. Every time I talk to somebody, they always bring that one up with me, and I could go back to it, and I keep it going back. And I said, Alan Robson, Lighthouse, this is what the guy's listening in for ages on that one. Yeah. But myself, back in 2013, I went with a friend across America.
Right.
And we took a Mustang, convertible Mustang, and we drove from LA to New York. But on the way, we stopped off in Nevada. Oh. And we had 3 days in Vegas, and then we went to Pahrump, Nevada, on our way to Area 51.
Right.
We drove all the way around the base that's there. Uh-huh. It's huge. Like I keep telling people how big it is. Unless you've actually been there, you don't know how big it is. Yeah. We filled up the car twice with petrol because it was so big. It was huge. And it's scary enough as it is. I was telling people, obviously people were joking about saying they want to invade Area 51. But I was telling people how huge it is and how big it is and how scary alone, because in the middle of the desert, there's nothing else there other than just desert. And we did get with a few checkpoints where it's like unmanned checkpoints. Yeah. And you think, can you go in? Can you not go in? You're not too sure. We got to the back road and there was lots of activity going on the back road. There was lots of like cars there and stuff, so we kind of went a bit there and we kind of thought, should we go down here or not? Because we know when you're on the actual road going around it, it's already, you're on the military base.
Yes.
So that road on your sat-nav doesn't exist.
Yes.
You've got to try and hope and think that you're on the right thing. And if someone does come along and say, get off this road, especially as you're a foreigner in that country, you've got to kind of think, oh, well, I'll obey your rules and I'll get off the road.
Right.
But when you come from Pahrump and you drive west around Area 51, you get to like kind of a turn-off bit where you get onto the extraterrestrial highway. And that bit is if you got to try and hope and pray that you're on the right road there, because it's not on your sat nav at all. That one's completely not on there. Uh-huh. You get on that one, you go down. It's only when you see the sign with all the stickers on. I'm sure if you'll Google it, you can see extraterrestrial highway, and you go down there, and that's where you start to get to Rachel, Nevada, which I must say it looks like Mad Max Shantytown, but it was the nicest place we ever went to there.
Right.
They were very friendly across there. I think we said we're from Gateshead, and they laughed and said London. I said, oh yeah, London. I think they kind of just one look at it. The first thought were Irish. They said, "Are you Irish?" I said, "No, we're not Irish." Then we thought we were trying to explain. I said, "No, not explain." But they sat us down and had food with them. There was a cafe there. Obviously, we paid for the food, but they were dead nice there. Really nice, and obviously they had lots of. It's the one that they use in the film Paul.
Right. Yes.
But obviously, on the inside, it doesn't look like the film set it is. It's still nice, but it's a bit more quaint and that kind of stuff. And they've got a UFO, like a flying saucer one outside of the actual Rachel Nevada. They've got like it's on the side of a truck, which is pretty cool. So we went around there and we tried to get the black mailbox. The only thing, we started running out of petrol. So we couldn't go back. So I thought, oh well, we didn't have any water. We're kind of two British guys. Didn't really think ahead, going, oh, we need some water in the middle of the desert. We kind of thought, oh well, didn't think it's gone through. So yeah, I went around it. It was anyone who wants to go, but bring some water, and also don't go in a Mustang because you'll use up all your petrol straight away.
Were you not? What's the right word? Every time you went through any town anywhere near, it was all alien everything. You could buy your cuddly aliens, your inflatable aliens.
There was lots of like failed alien setup things. Obviously, you saw like there was like an alien shack which obviously was run down. Yeah. And there's a lot of like weird things you don't want to stop by. There was one town we went through. It wasn't on a map, like it wasn't on an old map or a new map, and it was just old like plane parts, old. In it's time we didn't want to stop in that place. We got some funny looks, and we just thought, oh well, we'll just drive straight through here because we didn't know what was going on. And a lot of the road signs do have like bullet holes in.
Yes.
So you kind of don't want to stop many places. You want to think, oh well, we'll just keep going here and we'll keep going there. We're not too sure what's going on, but the place is it's like if you like. I'll try to explain to people because I do a lot of like UFO stuff myself.
Yeah.
I'm involved with Zonks the Alien online, which is on Twitter, Instagram, that type of stuff. And also involved with Awakenings UFO in Manchester.
Right.
I'm going down there, back down there in June 26th and 27th. I know they've got Eric Von Daniken's doing a talk down there.
Brilliant.
I'm obviously not doing a talk, but I'll be there in some capacity with Zonks the Alien.
I mean, the last time we did anything, we went down and I tried to break into the ground and get beyond the roads that are just periphery. And it's surprising. You think, well, there's miles and there's nobody here. There is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there is.
There is.
We did our research beforehand. There's those. We spotted a few of. I only spotted one. There was those like white things in the ground below the desert where they know you're there. They know they're tracking you. Yeah. They can probably hear everything you're saying. And they probably knew who we were, what we're doing. They probably thought, oh, these two lads, they're probably not going to do much. We'll just have a look around. But, we went up to one of the many like fences they've got around there, and stood looking at the fence. But yeah, it's spooky enough as it is.
No, absolutely. It's because if you look at America, even if you just go on like Google Earth or whatever, and you look at what's there. There's actually pretty much nothing there. It's
just nothing there, no.
It's just nothing there at all.
It's just desert. It's just complete desert, yeah.
Towns and cities everywhere. Towns, lakes, motorways, and then there's this middle bit, and there's just nothing there.
Yeah. Before I went across, we stopped off at some family friends who are American,
right.
And I was speaking to this one guy. He's in his 80s, and he served in the Navy for the U.S. Navy. And I said to him, "Oh, we're going to go across Area 51," and he just looked at us with a blank face. And didn't even say anything to us. And he just kind of, I thought, oh, is that like a sign saying don't go? But he just pulled out an old map and said, oh, you want to go down there, you go down to the big town. So I was like, is he just trying to tell us not to go? Is he involved in it? You live so close.
Right.
But, yeah, it's absolutely huge place. A fantastic place to go. It's just by the desert and stuff. So
as I said, you just wish that you had a vehicle that travelled at something like 300 miles an hour because the distances are so great between one thing and another. That's the problem.
So huge. So massive. You're just travelling forever and ever and ever. And you're like, that's what people don't get how big the base is itself. I don't think there's anything there right now. I think they've probably moved a lot of stuff to other places. But I think definitely in the 50s and 60s when they're doing the nuclear testing, there was something going on down there. Definitely something happening. Because now the CIA. It's funny. After we came back, it was a few months after we came back in 2013. The CIA actually released saying Area 51 doesn't exist. They said it actually exists. And we were a bit strange they did that, but yeah, I don't think there's nothing there now. It's obviously still there's still that Homey Air Force Base is the code name for the Air Force Base there, or the airport. And there's still people coming and going from the place, but I don't think they'd have anything over. If it is, it's probably going to be in S4, which is the underground base, which I know I've heard people talk about a few times.
No, absolutely. It's just fascinating that things that we've done in the past have just lit the blue touch paper in you there, Johnny. Yeah. That's the thing. And hey, so glad that it did. Great talking to you. Anything else while you're still on?
No, if you want to look at Zonk the Alien online, which I'm involved in, it's on Twitter, Instagram, a bit on Facebook as well.
Give me that again.
Zonk the Alien.
Zonk's Alien.
Zonk the Alien. ZONKS. The Alien.
The Alien. Zonk's the Alien. That's it?
That's it, yeah. If you look on Twitter, and it's all about spreading a bit more happiness and comedy through having a fun time through alien type stuff, UFO stuff.
Great
rather
stuff.
than a bit of negativity. It's a bit more positive.
Hey, rock on. Good stuff. Thanks, Johnny.
No problem. Cheers, Alan. Thank you.
All the best, bud. Boy, how good is that? Tell you, absolutely fantastic.
This is the home of Alan Robson's Night Owls.
With the voice of the North.
Greatest Hits Radio.
And pick up your telephones, give us a call. You get another clue to our competition that'll win you a DVD and some CDs. If you could work out what links them together. The first clue, what drives Australia's bush disaster? It's a hot thing and a blowy thing together. You've got to come up with both of those things, write them down. Second clue, you're within about 25 minutes of it. Promised that we're going to Mickley, and Mickley is where we're at with Catherine. Hello, Catherine.
Hello, Alan. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you, darling. What can we do for you tonight?
Well, I just wanted to give you a call and let you know about a club that myself and 5 other parents have set up for children with disabilities and families and friends.
Right.
Over in Hexham. We're called Tanga Club, but on Facebook you can find us as Tanga Hexham.
Tanga Hexham,
Tanga
right.
Hexham, Tanga. The word Tanga comes from the Maori word for autism, which means in your own space and time.
Oh, that's a lovely word.
Yeah, we thought it worked really, really well for the club because we welcome all children in up to the age of 18, from babies. We've got all sorts going on there, like arts and crafts and sports things. We've got games consoles. Got a really good sensory room for some of our more sort of profoundly disabled children as well. Right. But we've also got a really good sibling group going. There are children with no additional needs at all. And quite a lot of dads there as well, which is quite unusual for a group like that as well. So we've got parent support going and all that sort of thing as well.
And, well, if you've done nothing else, you've given me a better version of Tanga than the leopard skin underwear I used to wear as a child.
We were aware of that, yes, when we set it up. But we just thought that the word that came from the Maori word for autism just fit the club so well, so we just had to overlook it.
No, it's they need every woman I ever knew at the time overlooked it, so there's no reason why you should go back to it now. But, I mean, the whole idea of this being not even necessarily for the people with the disability, but those around them, I think is massively important because my experience of friends of mine that have had children with special needs of one sort or another, there's an awful lot of stuff made available for the child, but nothing to educate the people around them of how they're supposed to deal with the added pressure that comes with having a child with special needs.
Exactly, and it can be really, really socially isolating for parents and carers, and also for siblings and friends as well. On the committee, like I said, we've got 6 parents that are there, and we've all got children with and without disabilities, ranging from severely disabled to children on the autistic spectrum and with sort of mild learning difficulties and that type of thing. And we found quite a while ago now that there was actually nowhere where we could all take all of our children and everyone could all have a fun time in the same place.
Right.
So we decided to set Tanga up to sort of fill that gap and solve that problem. And, alongside that, I thought it would be a great idea to put a sort of parent support network in there as well, which is working really well. And so far, I mean, we actually only opened to the public on the 15th of November, and we welcomed on Friday, it was like our 70th child through the door on Friday. Wow. And they're coming from all over the place, Alan. We've got them from Gateshead, from Cumbria, obviously Hexham and the Tynedale area, but as far as it's across near Morpeth and everything. So it's obviously something that has definitely been needed.
It's one of those things, though, that I don't think people will fully get a grip of until it's been running for a while, because you'll be adding stuff to it all the time.
We are. We're coming up with new and different ideas all the time, like you say. I mean, it's something that we want to sort of progress and build up. We've got big ideas without saying too much, but we want to make it much more than a sort of youth and social group. So, you know, we hope in the future that we'll be able to roll it out to different sort of areas and things like that. So, yeah, good plans for it.
Well, it's just, again, one of those things that I think will grow and grow and grow, because especially when you mention that it's not... I've seen a lot of groups, small groups, that tend to just be women, mums and nanas quite often, who are trying to do the best for their special needs children or grandchildren. You need other kids. The siblings, they're the forgotten ones more often than not. And if you can get the male side of the equation in on the mix, believe me, you're miles ahead of the game already.
I do hope so. I mean, we're trying to sort of... We're never going to be everything to everybody, and we do know that, but all we can do is just try our best to fit as many people as we can into the equation, like you say. But we're Tanga Hexham on Facebook. If any of your listeners would like to go and look at the page and give us a like and a share, that would be wonderful, because we're trying to raise our profile. Right. Trying to get a few volunteers in as well, because the group's it's grown so big so quickly. We just need a hand really with it.
Right, okay, well, Night Owls, there you go. There is your challenge if you would like to get involved. Before you go, though, I gather you've got a UFO story as well.
Well, I know it's a little bit strange to be asked about that at the same time. It was a few years ago now, actually, but I guess it is a UFO, because I don't know what it was. Right. But I was coming home from Newcastle one night towards Prudhoe on the bypass there, and just at the roundabout near Crawcrook at the top there, and I was just looking out of the window, and it was quite late on. I would have said about 11:30, 12 o'clock at night. Right. And I looked up, and there was these three great big orange lights, quite not too far above the car, actually. Right. And I looked and I thought, you know, it was back in the days when everyone was talking about those stealth bombers, you know, the triangular shaped aircraft, that, you know, those ones that they evade the radar and that type of thing. And I looked at it and I thought, I wonder if it is one of those, and it's just the underside of it that I could see, but still to this day I have no idea what it was. Whoa. There you go. Maybe you're being watched. You see, you've impressed them so much with this new group. They're thinking, we're going to have to come from other planets to this Tanga Club. That's it. It's a must. Hey, Catherine, lovely talking to you. Thank you so much for sharing. Thank you for having me on your show, Alan.
No worries. Anytime. Thanks again. 0191 488 3188. Sue is with us. She's in Weshey. Hi, Sue.
Hello, Alan.
Hello, love. What can we do for you tonight?
My God, I've got withdrawal symptoms.
Oh, no. Me too.
Because I haven't been able to talk to you for ages.
Well, we've got you back. Good news. So what you got to talk about tonight?
Well, I was going to ring in. Well, I was going to phone you last week, and I never got to do it. Right. Because it got really late, and then I forgot my phone settings.
That's no problem.
All my notifications go off at 10 o'clock.
No worries. We got you now, though, so dive straight in.
Right. It's because you was on about, like, accidents, weird accidents and that you've had. Like, we've... Well, I fell over when my daughter was about 2, and I slipped and immediately heard crunch, and I chipped the bone in my elbow. And now I've got a wonky arm because it's fused and it won't straighten.
Oh, no,
right?
That's awful.
Yeah. Well, I could have had an operation. They said that they can get in and remove the floating pieces of bone. Right. So that wouldn't stay, but I said I refused because at the time, I know it seems daft, but we'd lost my dad, and I was just thinking, what's Mum going to do if she loses me if I die on the operating table? Right. So I just said no. I refused to do it. So, but it's, like I said, it's wonky, but they said as long as you can get your arms up to wash your hair, it'll be fine. So, And the other one, well, I've got a list of them here. Can you remember the tin openers where you had to stab them into the lid and then
Yes, and
push,
and then push them round and do that little twirly thing. Uh-huh.
Yeah. Oh my God, I did. It went in the lid all right, and then come up and stabbed us right up the finger.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, that's not nice.
I've still got the scar to this day, and oh God, I wouldn't use one of them again.
No. The thing is, what tends to happen with them blasted tin opener kind of things, you get 3 turns, so you've got a hole in the tin so you can see the food and you can see the liquid, but then the rest doesn't work, so then you try and stab it somewhere else, and eventually you stick a knife in, which is, you're going to hospital. You know, you're just going to hospital. It's simple as that.
No, this is one where you had to stab it in, and it was like a little hook.
Right.
Stabbed it in and just kept it like that.
No, I know the one you mean.
Yeah. And I've trapped my fingers in the rabbit hutch when I was younger, and all my nail went black and fell off.
Oh dear.
My daughter, this is unbelievable, and I mean, only those two can do it. They was at school at the time, and her friend had came over to ours, and I forget what they was doing.
Right.
But my daughter fell and broke her wrist, and the next day, her friend fell and broke her wrist on the opposite hand. So they couldn't do that again if they tried.
No, I bet.
You know?
Oh my goodness.
It was really weird. But I think the weirdest and most horrific accident, freak accident, was with my dad, and because he was an inshore fisherman, so they was out fishing, and they was bringing the nets in,
right,
and his foot caught in the winch, and as it was bringing the nets in, that took his leg right the way round.
Jeepers.
Oh God, yeah, out of his hip. His hip was literally out, and he was in that much pain. My granddad and my uncle had to literally tie him to the deck of the boat because he was in that much pain. He would have thrown himself over, you know, and they had to tie him down and then radio through an ambulance to be at the fleet as they got in. But because the tide was still down, they had to wait for to rise before the ambulance could get him off the boat. Really horrific that way.
That's not funny at all.
Yeah. And you was also on about last week. Someone rang in about fibromyalgia.
That's right. Yes.
Yeah. Well, I know my friend suffers from that, amongst other conditions that she's got. But oh God, she can't. She's got that much wrong with her. She can't no longer plan. She just has to take it day by day.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
But I've got just recently, because I've been going to the physio, and they had to discharge me because they said there's nothing they can do, and they said it was referred pain.
Right.
And so they sent me to the pain management team, and I was thinking, they'll probably give us some injections or something in this area where it really, really does my head in, or every day, every night, you know.
Yeah.
And they said, well, we can't do injections. We'll have to play around with some of your pain medication.
Right.
They can't do the injections because they don't know where the pain is coming from, because it's known as referred pain, or the other word is myofascial pain disorder.
Oh, blimey, right.
So, yeah, and that's what I've got. And the pain, even though it's in, one place, it's not actually coming from there.
Right,
you know?
it's referred from another place. Hey, blimey, you've been through the wars, but thank you for coming on, Sue.
Yeah.
Anything else, darling?
No, just like I said, I've missed you. We've been busy, and we've been busy with the grandchildren and that, over Christmas.
And stuff. Try and stay as well as you can, then, darling. And thank you for calling.
Yeah, thanks, Alan.
All the best, love. Bye-bye. Also, you can text the word Alan, A-L-A-N, plus your message to 61054. Text Alan plus your message to 61054 if you fancy. and Helen from Newcastle, who was on the show last week, I seem to remember. Hi, Helen.
Hi.
Hello, Dan. What's been happening in your world then?
Comment of a post of yours about hurting myself a lot.
Yes.
Because you hurt yourself.
Yeah. No, I remember. So you've had a few accidents in your time. So what do you want to talk about tonight?
Basically about that, really.
Right. Crack on. Good stuff. So what kind of things? Do tell.
Well, when I was younger, my best friend at the time was coming over, and I was roughly the same height as a door handle.
Right.
And I got too excited, and I whacked my head off the door handle and cracked it open.
Oh, that's really not funny. Because, I mean, those door handles, some of them are the sticky out, turny down ones, if you know, not the round ones. They're dangerous if you're that height.
I think there was like a metal, it was a while back.
Yeah, not fun. Not fun at all. I mean, were you one of those kids that was always tipping over yourself?
Oh, yes. I have a baby book that is filled with basically all the concussions I've ever had.
Is that right?
I was in hospital.
Ah, dear. It's just, I do know some kids that every time I saw them, they had a hand in plaster or a big bandage on a finger or a black eye. And they were just those kind of kids. They weren't being battered by their family, which is what it looked like. They were just clumsy. And they'd fall over, or they'd play a game of football and they'd end up with a broken toe or a toenail falling off. There was always something.
Yeah, I'm not as bad as my husband. When he was a bit younger, he actually shot himself in the thumb. His dad passed him over a gun without the safety on.
Oh, what?
And it backfired and went into his thumb.
What kind of love did this father have for his son? Have a look at this, son. The safety's off, but don't worry about it.
I don't think he noticed that it was on.
Whoa.
Oh, my husband said he loaded it, but it backfired or something like that. His poor sister was crying because they had to use her brand new T-shirt at the time to stop the bleeding.
Right. Oh, whoa. But I mean, I'm from a rough end of Newcastle, but I still didn't know anybody that had a gun. Do you know what I mean?
They used to hunt a lot.
All right, okay.
And it was an air rifle, are you saying?
Oh, an air rifle. Oh, we all had them. We all had those kind of things. Oh, but that's even worse. Blame you, tiny little pellet hitting you at point blank range. Whoa.
Yeah, definitely.
No,
he said it was floating everywhere.
Thanks for that. That's what I'll go home remembering now. I was spurting everywhere. Lovely.
Yeah. He can't feel part of it, but he was weirder.
No, I bet. Nasty things. Anything else then, Helen?
I just wanted to say thank you for sending the CD last time. It really made my day.
That's all right. Hey, no, you're more than welcome. Just thanks for being part of this. That's the whole deal. Thank you, Helen.
It really helped with my confidence as well.
Hey, you should have no worries there. And I do know it's an issue with you, but you really, you sparkle, lass. So thank you very much for coming on. Take care.
Welcome.
Love your partner as well. Thanks again. Bye-bye. A little quick piece of music, and then I think we're off to France.
This is Real Life Conversation with the voice of the North.
This is Night Owls with Alan Robson.
Call 0191 488 3188.
Greatest Hits Radio.
And do not forget Breakfast with Rossi and the Morning Moldy Mystery Oldie. The competition is kicking off again, so it'll add up to thousands of pounds just waiting to be claimed by you. And then, of course, Mark Goodyear comes in with the top 10 at 10, followed by Andy Crane, Darren Proctor, and then Rick Horton and his music marathon. 10 songs in a row every hour. Get a hold of some of that. Greatest Hits Daily. Ask your smart speaker to play Greatest Hits Radio. And on a Sunday night, of course, Greatest Hits Radio Northeast. So make sure that happens. Going to give you your second clue earlier. And it is reggae word for the word that. Instead of that, what reggae word replaces it? And it sounds like that, but it's not that. It's What. And it is the name of a reggae hit, okay? A reggae greatest hit. So, you are 2 clues down. You've got 2 more clues to come. The last 2 should give you it, okay? Even if you only get the last 2 right, you'll be able to solve it. But let us crack on. We have Margaret Stevens from Lorraine in France. Hi, Margaret.
Hi, Alan. How are you?
I'm very well, darling. Thanks for being with us. I do realise it's an hour later where you are, so thank you for talking to us.
No problem.
So how's it going? I mean, the last we heard, just building up to Christmas, you were trying to put a little bit of money away to help you with the dream, and your lad doing a bit of building work, and you as his trusty labourer. How did it go?
Yes. Well, what we're doing, and on a Monday to Wednesday, we're working sort of off our house.
Right, for other people.
Outside.
Right. Yeah.
For other people, yeah. And then Thursday, Friday, Saturday and Sunday on our house.
Right.
We're doing some pointing at the moment on an old outbuilding, a barn type of thing. Well, Gary is, and I'm just sort of fetching and carrying for him type of thing.
Sure.
But no, all we're doing is it's just taking each day as it comes, and whatever work we can get in, and it obviously
it all goes in the pot.
It all goes in the pot for the house. Yeah.
Sure.
We've got the steps in at the front of the house now.
Excellent.
We're not touching inside until maybe April.
Right.
We've got to get the FOSS tank, which is the septic tank, and that'll be beginning of April when we've got enough money together to get that in.
They're amazing things, these septic tanks.
Oh God, yeah.
I don't know how much you know about them, but
I've read up on it quite a lot. Yeah.
I've got one, and it's
wow.
It's one of these things that's, because we're a little bit out of the centre, we're in the middle of countryside, so that's what we've got. And I thought, well, I go regular. I don't know about you, but I go quite regularly. So I'm presuming I'm going to fill that up no time at all. But with the chemicals and the natural bacteria and stuff, and I'm not getting into it because it's poo, essentially, at the end of the day, but it seems to clean itself so that it doesn't need emptying very much. I mean, and I don't know how often you're supposed to empty them, but I'm about 5, 6, 7 years in. I haven't emptied it at all yet. Not once. You still there, Margaret? She's been lost down my toilet there. Yes, I don't know. Anyway, if anybody else has a septic tank, do you? Is it a weekly thing? How often do you clean? We'll try for Margaret again very soon. But the whole bacteria thing is a fascinating and amazing thing. She just disappeared. You're back, Margaret.
I am back. I don't know what happened, Alan. Sorry.
I know it's just I haven't had it emptied or cleaned yet, and it just works. That's simple as. So it's a fascinating.
How long have you had it for?
5,
Alan?
6 years, 7 years.
Right. Well, basically, if it's working fine, every 4 or 5 years, they might come and ask whoever's put it in to inspect it.
Right.
Otherwise, sometimes
look at my
it
poo.
might not need emptying.
Look at my poo.
Yes, look at my cesspit.
Who's going to want to do that? But no, I hear it. It's just, as long as it's not full, apparently
exactly.
you're just supposed
it's doing its job, yeah.
You just let it do its thing. But it's alive. Dun, dun, dun.
It is alive, yes.
I'm talking about you, I was. There's something in there and it's alive!
Don't put your hand in, Alan.
No.
I
was going to say, the last thing I'm thinking of doing at this point. But no, hey, good luck with that. I mean, do you just have to bury it and it does its own thing? I mean, naturally?
Yes.
Right, brilliant.
If you get it from being brand new, what we'll do is, obviously, we've got to get a digger in to dig the holes, to put the tank in.
Sure.
And then you've got all your filters.
Right. You've got to run your channel from the house as well, obviously, yeah.
That's right, yes,
from
yeah.
the drains.
And you've got to make it live yourself. So what you've got to do, you've got to flush your toilet. Well, yeah, you've got to flush your toilet a few times, and then put some stuff in it, and then which makes it live. I love to say what.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I think people didn't use the imagination what they need to make it live.
I can just imagine you saying one day, he's just put that in and all the concreting's done and the channel from the house is there. And it's like having a baby. I've delivered my first one. How's it doing?
Do you know what, Alan? It'd be like a royal flush. We are honestly to go from to flushing a toilet. I mean, I don't know if you know, because I told Nicola, I haven't been on for quite a while.
That's right.
We are in a house at the moment.
Right.
We're not in the caravan.
No, I heard that, but presumably you're just keeping on the floor, I'm guessing. Or you got a bed in there?
I've got a bed.
Oh, good lads.
Yes.
That's brilliant.
I've got a flushing toilet.
Uh-huh.
Got a washing machine.
Where does it flush to, then?
Got luxury.
Where does it flush?
Flushes into a septic tank.
So you're just replacing it with your own septic tank?
Yes.
Right.
This is this is a house that we're in. We're renting at the moment.
Right. Oh, I see. Right.
Just up the road from where
from
we
where
are.
you are. Gotcha.
Yes.
Right.
Because where it was, Alan, after 8.5 months, our water tank just failed, and we didn't have any running water, water coming through the caravan, the pump, for like 3 days. So I said, Gary, I cannot work. I can work, but I can't come in from working and not having a proper shower, because we were going down to the tap, filling up buckets and bottles and just wetting ourselves down, just getting sort of a bed bath type of thing. This is not good for us. Not like this. Not in this weather.
No, it runs you down
now,
as well.
and we had a word with the people over the road, so we're here for a couple of months, which is fantastic, Alan.
Right.
I've got running water, hot water, a shower.
Brilliant.
So it's good. Things are good. I feel 100% happier.
Making progress.
And then we're working just along the road. Yes, working just along the road. So it's a slow process, but we'll get there. But I'm thinking, oh my God, we've got a toilet. Look, Gary, listen. And Gary's going, don't flush that, man. Don't flush it too much, because we're paying for the water.
Fantastic.
Proper Yorkshireman.
Yeah, but the thing with it all, the thing with all of this is fairly simple. That if you've got life without just a little touch of comfort, you've got no life at all. You need to be able to get away from the mud and the muck and the dirt, and shake yourself off and have a hot bath, and then you can get up and get the muck in your fingernails again.
It makes you feel. Do you know what it is? I mean, where it was. I was going, and because it was raining a lot, I think I told you, it was absolutely pouring it down, and it was like a minefield, as if somebody was shooting at the caravan, because it just came down, and I thought, I wasn't sleeping, and I sky, we just can't, and going to bed, not knowing that you wash, like having a shower properly or whatever, or getting washed properly, it's just, it's not us, so... No, and that went on for 3-4 days. And don't get me wrong, I know that listeners are going to say, well, that's not too bad. Just fair enough, yeah. But I hit rock bottom, basically. Yeah. I really did.
Sure.
And so I said to Gary, so we looked for some rental just for 2 months, just to get us over this rainy period.
Sure. And
the people over the road stepped in, and oh my God, I was so thankful. you know.
Yeah, no,
So
it's hey.
This is where we are now.
This is the thing, though. You've got to realise that it's whatever it takes, and you're there for the long term. You're going to get it seen to. It might take an extra couple of months, but you're nearer than you could ever imagine. You know, that's the thing.
Definitely. And the thing was, it's not that. After a hard physical day, and it's not just. I mean, Gary has been a godsend. He has been my, you know, and shout out to him. He's been there every step of the way, and I'm thinking, God, I'm so sorry, Gary, for being like a wuss.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and he says, don't be stupid. You're putting up with like crap and mud and heavy, and I'm lifting breeze blocks, and I'm putting mixes in, and I just want to cut the sleeve normally and have a nice lie in. I mean, you can't, you know.
You're a princess, Margaret. You didn't sign up for this.
Well, yes, I wish. No,
it'll come.
But we're getting there, Alan. Things are looking better now.
Thank you.
I can see, you know, and Gary's promised we'll be in for Christmas.
One year or another, I think I can see that. Hey, no, I'm sure you will, no question. It's the big year. The big year has just been good. Hey, lovely catching up, Margaret. Thank you for coming on.
No, and you, Alan. Happy New Year to you and everyone.
Bless you.
Doc.
All the best, love. Bye-bye. So there she is, and doing a bit of other stuff to get where you got to be. And, hey, you cannot blame her. 01914 488 3188. Let's head across to Seaham. We have Rob there. Hi, Rob.
Nano, Alan.
Hello there. I'm presuming this is alien-related then, is it?
Well, possibly.
Good.
Possibly.
Dive in then. What you got to talk about for us?
Well, just hearing you talk about UFOs, one of my favourite subjects.
Right.
I've had a few sightings over the years, and I used to actually be involved with a UFO investigation group until a few years ago.
Right.
It was quite interesting seeing, you know, sort of both sides of the coin, if you like. So that was interesting. But I had my first sighting when I was about 10. I was out with my mates. I had a metal detector for Christmas, and we were out on the cliffs in Seaham. Right. We were metal detecting, and all of a sudden something caught my eye out at sea, and I said, "What's that?" So I think it was about four of us, and we all looked out at sea. I said, "What the hell's that?" And it was about maybe a quarter of a mile out at sea. It was very low cast there, but about maybe 20 feet above the water, about a quarter of a mile away out at sea, was a black cigar-shaped object going very, very. I'd say it wasn't bombing along. It was doing maybe about 60, 70 miles an hour. We were only about 20 feet from the ground, but you couldn't hit it from the sea. But you couldn't hear a thing. There was no noise whatsoever.
Right. Because that's funny, because that's what one of the previous callers said. He's 5 lights lifted off a field right next to him, but there was no noise at all.
Yeah, you couldn't hear it. I mean, the lads around, we were 10 year, we were all about 10, 11-year-old, and, you know, being lads, we were interested in planes and military and that kind of thing.
Sure.
And the plane that I remember at the time was the Hawker Harrier. You know, that was what everybody was excited about during the 70s, was the Hawker Harrier, the plane the jet that could lift
straight up. Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So all my mates were going, look, it's a Hawker Harrier. I said, that's not a Hawker Harrier. I says, where's the wings? Where's the cockpit? Where's the tail fin? Where's the flames coming out of that? Where's any of it? And we just looked at it, and it just kept. But it seemed to follow the contour of the coast, if you like. So it kept the same distance.
Right.
And as we watched it, it was heading north, so it was going from south to north. And as it headed north going towards Sunderland, Newcastle, it seemed to maintain the cigar shape, which suggested to me that it was actually saucer shaped.
Right.
Because we were seeing it from behind. So if you see what I mean, as it moved into the distance, we were seeing it from behind.
Absolutely.
So I thought the initial impression was it was cigar-shaped, but actually I think it was a saucer-shaped thing, whatever the hell it was. But silent, completely silent, and we were just standing looking at each other, just like,
amazing.
What was that? The interesting thing was, though, Sunderland Echo the next day, front page, UFO sightings all across the northeast and across Wales.
There you go.
So,
there you go, right there.
So there was some kind of flap took place on the same day as I saw that. And I don't know if it was related to, I don't know if you were aware of the Broadhaven UFO landing.
Yes.
Some school kids were meant to have seen.
Yeah,
I don't know if that was related to the sightings that we're referring to in the newspaper.
Uh-huh.
But that was my first one. But the one I actually contacted the program about was the more spectacular one I saw, which was in Spain when I was on holiday.
Yeah, what happened?
It was in 1986. I was in Ibiza with my mates. And of course, you're in Ibiza, everybody's thinking, you were drunk, you were on drugs. Well, maybe we were in some parts of the holiday, but not on this particular night. Absolutely stone cold sober. My mates were in the apartment. It was about 6:30 at night. And I thought, I'm going to go for a walk, get some fresh air.
Yeah.
Not thinking of anything, just having a wander around. So I went down to the harbour from the apartment, walked down. It was in San Antonio. Walked down to the front and there's like market stalls there and face paint. There was lots of families around. It was a very, very chilled atmosphere and all that kind of thing.
Right.
Sun hadn't set. It was about 6:30, something like that. So still very light, still very bright. And I noticed a lot of people over by the beach, all like a line of people, all sort of looking and pointing, and all this kind of commotion going on.
Mm-hmm.
And I walked over, and as I walked over, I could see that in the sky, maybe half a mile, 3/4 of a mile, maybe even a mile high in the sky, maybe a mile or 2 miles away from where we were. Sometimes it's hard to perceive what's going on.
Yeah.
This is as I remember.
Yeah.
There was what I can only describe as a bright orange donut sitting in the sky, just sitting in the sky, and everybody just standing there, just gawping at it. And I walked over to it. I was standing looking. I was trying to make sense of it. I was asking, what? I couldn't. Obviously, nobody there could make sense of what they were looking at.
Right.
But it just looked like a bright orange donut. And I've always thought at the time that the height of it and the distance where it was, everybody in Ibiza must have seen it that night.
Right. Yes.
It was so bright and so, the height of it. There must have been thousands and thousands of people who saw it because it was so noticeable.
Right.
But we just I've kicked myself ever since because just before the holiday, I bought a very expensive Pentax camera. And in 1986, I spent £400 on that camera.
Oh,
so
right.
Imagine how much it costs now.
Yeah.
And I didn't have my camera with me. And this thing was in the sky for about half an hour. Just standing staring at this thing for half an hour. And then not once did I think to go back to my apartment, which is just around the corner, to get my camera. Because I was so transfixed on it.
Yeah.
And we were all just standing, just gawping at it.
And you see, when there's so many people that see the same thing, because I saw something late, and it was really late. I was on my way home from work when I lived in Cramlington, and I was driving up, and I saw something. The nearest thing to it, and I know it sounds ridiculous, but it was Thunderbird 1. If you can imagine Thunderbird 1, but instead of zipping like a rocket, being actually quite slow in turning. Kind of like a screw, but not fast, but just nice and slow. And I remember pulling up to the side of the road, on the road that leads from the Seaton Burn roundabout to the low road in Cramlington that takes you up into Cramlington. And I pulled over at the side of the roads with my winkers on, looking around saying, surely there's got to be somebody else that can see this. And I'm looking up, and there's no cars, and there's no people, and I'm getting really frustrated because I'm thinking...
Was it dark?
Yeah,
was it night time then?
3 o'clock in the morning.
So do you think it was illuminated, this thing? Illuminated itself?
It was low lit. Like, if you can imagine, it didn't have headlights or anything like a car would have, but it was low lit. It had white light on it with a red trim at the bottom, and it just moved really slowly and turned around, and it got about 300 to 400 feet up in the sky. It was over me about 3 to 4 houses high. I mean, it was low and it was big, and it went up into the air and then poof, and it was gone. But I mean, in immense speed, no sound. And the thing that I couldn't understand was, if that's mechanical in any way, what's it using to stay up there?
Well, it's funny you should say that because my mate, he was a total skeptic. He has interest in weird things like ghosts and stuff or whatever, but he was totally skeptical about UFOs. He was like, always taking the mickey out of me. Oh, you and your aliens, you little green man. Oh, any chance he got, he was having a go at me. And he was on holiday in Devon.
Right.
And he was at a conference thing. It was actually a paranormal conference, believe it or not.
Right.
And actually in Devon. And he was dropping one of the speakers off down. I don't know if you've driven through Devon before, but these, the country lanes with the privets, like the at the edge are about 20 foot tall, you know what I mean? On either side is about 20 foot tall. So anyway, he's dropped the speaker off. He's coming back to the village to where he's staying. And he says, all of a sudden, he says this big black triangle just came over the top of the road, just in front of his car. He said it was just massive, with a white light in each corner of the triangle, with a red light in the middle. And it just silently just went over the car in front of him, and he was absolutely horrified. He said it made no noise. He said it was massive, but it made no noise whatsoever. And he says, I couldn't understand. He had the windows down because it was summer. He said, I couldn't hear a thing. He says, all I could hear was like a sort of a swoosh, as if, and he says, all the trees in front of him swayed.
Oh, wow.
And all I could hear was this swooshing noise. That was the only noise this thing made as it came up. He says he was absolutely baffled. How could that massive thing silently just glide across in front of him like that? He was absolutely mortified.
Doesn't make any sense, though. And if you think about it, if you've got something that's mechanical, and you presume that it is, surely to move, it's got to make some kind of noise, especially if it's doing the kind of things that it was doing. But, no, hey, fascinating stuff. Rob, thank you very much. That's perfect.
Nice to talk to you again, Alan.
Thanks for coming on. Always a pleasure. Bless you, man. Well done to you. We're going to have some blah pretty soon, too. We're 2 clues in for a competition. And if you want to talk about UFOs or anything else, pick up your telephone. There's still plenty of time to get you on. 0191 488 3188. What did you see out there up in the sky? Or do you think aliens live amongst us? If you want to get into all of this, we've been talking about it big style. Make sure that you do. Now, there we go. We have Journey. What a band they are. Still to this day, still think the best of the best came with Steve Perry, who's been in and he's been out and he's been replaced and he's come back, and we're never really sure where he is at any one time. However, what a voice he had. And when it comes to the blah, we gather together. Hollywood McShane, producer to the Stars.
Hello, evening.
And also Chris Felton, presenter and aide to the programme. Hello.
Hello, hiya.
Right, there you go. So let's have a look. We always start with the national front page news, and we talk about it when we press the button called the blah. No, that's not it. That was many things, but that's not the blah. That's the blah.
Mixing it up.
There was rapid eye movement there, I'll tell you. Right, okay, here we go. Monday's national newspapers. Starting with the Sun, there's a girl called Flack with her legs out. I've got Laura's back. Certainly doesn't have a buttocks. Anyway, apparently there's somebody doing Love Island and it's not her because of all she tried to kill her boyfriend allegations.
Laura Whitmore's doing it, I think. Started tonight, that's why it's on the front page.
And who's she?
She's an MTV presenter, I think.
Is that right? Okay.
Yeah, Irish, isn't she?
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
Finger on the button as always, yeah. No idea.
The Sun's headline, though, is Royal Soap Opera, Meghan Harry's US TV bid, tell-all interview threat. She said that because the Royals want to pull them back into line, and they've maybe gone too far already, because Prince Philip's already spitting feathers about it. And
I can't believe he didn't tell them first, though, and he just went public. Doesn't make sense, does it? Unless Meghan's trying to stir it up.
He's fallen out with William over it, but you always do it with women. I don't like him and I don't like her, and if I say you're talking to him or we're talking to him, and women.
They're already saying they could be bigger than the Obamas, bigger than the Beckhams, because of all of the advice they've had. So they've always been planning this for a while.
Well, pull their money and see what they do. Pull their money and say, okay,
but
now...
She must have some anyway.
Now make a life for yourself.
She was an actress.
I'm sure she's probably got a bit tucked away. But pull the royal purse from Harry and say, go and make a life for yourself. Get a job somewhere, sunshine. Because a lot of the European royal families have done that. And a lot of, like Dutch royalty and Scandinavian royalty, these people have jobs, highfalutin jobs.
I have to.
So let them work for it. I've got no qualms about that. But
he had to work anyway, didn't he? Because the royal duty is still work.
Of a sort, it is. But I mean, how many hands can you shake? Anyway, the Daily Mirror. Kick your sugar addiction. I'm trying. And Sandringham Showdown. Palace fears a Meghan tell-all interview. Royal worry over her nuclear option if crunch talks fail. I don't know what they were expected to do. To fall in line like Kate Middleton, maybe. Who knows? Daily Express. Her Majesty to spell out financial terms of stepping down for the royal couple. I do think that's where you hit them. You say, how much you got in the bank now? £16 million. Well, you're getting no more.
That'll do him, though.
It would do me too, absolutely. Queen to tell Harry the true cost of freedom. What it's trying to say is she's just out for the money. That's what it's saying, underlying it all in what have you. But as I say, she wouldn't have been poor in the first place. Daily Star, there's another woman in a small bikini. Love Ale Loser Ollie, whatever that means. And Acropolis Row. You've lost your marbles. Flakes attack on racist treasures. Because we stole the Elgin marbles from Greece. They've always wanted them back. They keep asking about every 3 or 4 years, and we go, yes, but just let us keep them just a little bit longer. And then 15 years later, they ask for them back again. The Times. Harry in turmoil over cutting his royal links, and Iranians burn the Union Jack amid growing diplomatic crisis. So we're the bad guys now. We haven't done anything. The Guardian. Public fury grows in Iran over the shooting down of a jet. And McQueen warns BAFTA it is at risk of irrelevance. Do you care? No.
Not really.
We're just looking at each other, and it's there's just tumbleweed rolling across the minds of the people in the studio. Let's go even further then. Daily Mail. The fastest way to beat diabetes. I'm trying. And as the Queen summons the family for a historic crisis summit today, the Sussexes will be warned deal to quit the firm is far from done. Not so fast, Harry. Whoa.
It's going to be like Brexit, this, isn't it?
Megxit.
It's going to roll on.
What are they calling it?
Megxit.
The Information newspaper. Sweet success for sugar tax. Now, hang on. This is about me, kind of. Soft drinks makers cut sugar content by an average of 28% across all of their beverages. That's why the Iron Brew folk in Scotland are going crackers, because it's not the same. Oxford University study credits the government levy with revolutionising the industry, and campaigners call for broader tax on sweetened milk-based drinks to further reduce consumption. Now, this is the weird thing about it, because you've got a situation where the stuff that we're talking about, the sugar tax, has worked so well on soft drinks, because a lot of we're drinking Pepsi Max or Coca-Cola Zero and all the rest of it. Now they're looking at things like milkshakes. Well, how much sugar's in a milkshake? We're going to take that out of there, and that's where they're moving, so watch out. It'll hit yogurts next. The Daily Telegraph fears Harry, rather. Who's Terry? Fears Harry will tell...
It doesn't sound the same, does it?
No, it doesn't. Fears Harry will tell all if his plans are thwarted. What secrets have they got? And the Metro paper says, the Queen's prayers before the summit... showdown today with Harry. Wills to attend as Charles jets in. Heaven help us, they've called in his dad. Oh, he's in trouble. Financial Times, Nissan steps up secret plans for a potential divorce from Renault. Oh, that's not good. And that is the newspapers. Chris Felton, what story do you have for us today?
Well, New Year, New Decade, the biggest selling calendar in Japan for the second year in a row is Vladimir Putin's calendar.
What?
Yeah, I didn't even know he had a calendar. It did this last year as well. It was the biggest seller across the entire year, obviously. And it's literally every month is Vladimir Putin posing with a different animal. So there's a bear, there's like a leopard, there's a snake. October, it's a white cat, and he cannot look any more like a Bond villain. It's absolutely brilliant. You've got to see this.
Are they real?
Yeah, they're real animals. So it's on his lap, and he's stroking it. He looks literally like a Bond villain in October. December, he's feeding the reindeer. And it's the biggest selling calendar in Japan. How bizarre is that?
Why would anybody in Japan want a Putin?
I don't know.
If it was like
That's
their
them.
emperor or...
Might be big over there. They might have a good reputation over there.
Oh, well,
no?
I don't know. I didn't even know he did a calendar. I mean, what's next?
I've seen him
Boris wants
topless
to
with
get on.
Donald Trump, but I think that's photoshopped. You know, and they're on the horses.
It was photoshopped.
Yeah.
This is real. This one is really. I mean, where did they get? I don't know how they.
He thinks it might be photoshopped. Right. Okay.
You never know them two.
No, that's a fact. What you got then, too?
Yeah. Well, this is the Weatherspoons. You know, they've got the app.
Yeah.
And you can basically not go to the bar. You can just download the app, put your table number in, and they'll bring you your drinks. You pay on the app as well. So.
It's too easy.
It's far too easy. But this guy, basically, he was on speaking to his friend on Twitter, and they said, "Oh, which pub you in, what table you at, and stuff like that."
Right.
So once he put his details in, drinks just started arriving at his table, and throughout the whole day on the Saturday, he got £700 worth of drinks sent to his table just by random people because they knew which pub he was in and which table he was at.
So the
700 quid's worth.
Send him a drink.
So
what did he do?
Multiple people.
He couldn't drink £700 worth of
Well,
whatever.
he had a good go at it because he had a hangover the next day.
Did he get the bill, or had they paid for it?
No, because you got to pay before you send them to the table. So people were buying them and sending them over as a joke, basically, and it just got out of hand. And when it was all totted up, it was £700 worth.
It's probably still there.
That's amazing.
Next time we go out, we're going to try that.
yeah,
definitely.
We should. That's a great idea.
I know.
So you just go online and tell everybody what table you're on.
Yeah. Do you think anyone will?
Well, let's find
Start
out. So
sending us
this
drinks.
Friday night, 10 to 11.
Now, can I just say, can you pick a night when I'm not at home? Just because.
yeah. I heard about that last week. Yes. Yeah. Well, I was there. I should have heard about it.
Where did you disappear when he was ringing me?
I thought he disappeared from the bar that we were in. So I thought he did. He vanished.
Well, I don't know what happened. Don't know what happened. That's the thing.
Now I know where he was and what he was doing.
It was just interesting. So do I. It's just last week we did a replication of roughly what it was like, and it's just when somebody says, "I don't know where I am," and I said, "Well, what can you see?" And he says, "The Central Station." I said, "Well, you're probably at the Central Station then." It was it was a moment in time. Anyway, we're going to have a little piece of music, a quick advert, bit of music, as many of your calls as we can fit in. Pick up your telephone right now. That is loosely what we describe as the Blarn.
With Alan Robson.
You never know who's going to call next.
Greatest Hits Radio.
Now, just be telling you a little bit earlier on about how I spent a little bit of time in a place called Mesquite whilst visiting Area 51, and we've got somebody literally from just around the corner. Well, relatively speaking, it's Heidi, who is in Las Vegas, Nevada. Hello, Heidi.
Hi, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. And apparently you spend a fair bit of time watching, and I know it's twee, but the X-Files did tell us, watch the sky. And this is something that's a passion of yours, I gather.
Yeah, well, it didn't start until last February when something very strange happened on my porch cam. So I got a couple more cameras and put them on the skies here in Las Vegas.
But hang on, let's
pretty much every night it gets pretty active up there.
Well, let's rewind to what happened on your immediate house. They're presumably house protection cameras. What did you find?
Mm-hmm. Well, I call it the landing because that's what it looks like, and it's pinned on my YouTube page. But it's basically a lot of something coming down from the sky, landing on my street. I know it sounds crazy, but it is what it is. And it looks like a craft with lights all around it. It's very shiny that lands on the street, and it lights up the camera. And it's never happened before, and it hasn't happened since. But it's very unique,
No, for
to
sure.
say the least.
I mean, because of where you live and your proximity, obviously Nevada being where Area 51 is, do you automatically...
I'm about an hour from there.
Does everybody automatically believe, or is the reverse true? They kind of make fun of people who claim to have witnessed this kind of thing?
Oh, not at all. It's definitely it's got its own industry here in Nevada for sure. I think more people have seen something than more people who have not. And plus we have, the Air Force bases, Area 51 and 52, and all of this desert area out here. I think I've found that it's mostly pretty common that people see something.
And do what about it, though? Because in Britain, we have a bit of a hard time with it because we hear so much of what happens where you are, and we see relatively little in comparison, although, as we were talking earlier in the show tonight, there's an awful lot of people who seem to be believers now as opposed to what they used to be in previous years. There is a building up of belief in this kind of thing. Where does it leave you, though? Because your presidents always say they're going to tell us all when they get into the White House, and then as soon as they do, they're quiet as a lamb. You never hear a word from them.
I think it's very smart on our government's behalf not to tell the presidents everything, because basically they're very temporary. And they all have, a big mouths when they leave, So I think if you go back to like Eisenhower, he was very vocal about his experiences, and he even some of his servicemen also claimed that he was actually, abducted for a little while and things like that. But he worked very closely, according to history anyway, with ETs, if you want to call it that, or,
right.
We just really don't know. It could be, advanced military that we're not aware of as just public citizens. I think a lot of my catches might have something to do with that, but I have no way of knowing that.
Why do you think they haven't come forward, though? And if it is as commonplace, because we had one of the British astronauts talking about this just this past week, saying aliens actually really do exist. They probably live amongst us. When astronauts are saying that kind of thing, why do you feel the government just don't tell the public what the truth is?
I think it has a lot to do with all of the money that would be lost from religions and free energy. I think it keeps us kind of in a I don't know, maybe a caveman-like state where we're totally dependent on our governments and our religions.
Because what you're saying is we could live much cheaper with free energy, and imagine what difference that would make to our pay packets at the end of each month. You'd be able to live well with whatever you had if you weren't paying for probably your biggest bill, isn't it?
Yeah.
So that being the case, we could live a life of relative freedom of that sort, but they're hiding it from us, so we've got to keep paying. Because that's what you're saying, really.
Pretty much. I mean, they don't want to lose any power. That's just my opinion. I mean, it really seems to me that is the case, because so many high-level and very intelligent and very respectable people are coming out and have come out in the past about encounters and sightings and things like that, astronauts, government officials, Secret Service officials, just plain old people, that have no reason to, not tell the truth about things that they've witnessed, and they face a lot of ridicule for it. But I really think it's basically to kind of keep us in the dark about how energy works and that it would be freely available. We wouldn't be dependent on coal and oil and things like that. And also, the religions of the world go hand in hand with the governments of the world. And that's kind of where all the money goes, is religions and governments and oil. And if we didn't have all of those things, they really would have less control over the public.
No, for sure. I mean, do you think there will ever be a time when they do come out with it? Because free energy would be an amazing thing. As it stands,
that would be amazing if they did. I think a few of them are trying to, but I think, like, full disclosure, I honestly, I don't have faith that will happen in our lifetime.
And there's the tragedy right there, I suppose. But fascinating thing, the most vivid thing that you've ever seen or felt or heard that's made you completely believing in the alien phenomenon. Do tell.
When I was younger, I grew up in Montana, which is up by Canada. Right. And it's a lot of sky. And I was younger, and I had basically a very close-up experience where a large craft about the size of the mountain itself came in sideways and just stayed there at the mountain, like right next to the mountain ridge, which is the Rocky Mountains, where the Continental Divide is. They're huge mountains. Yeah. And this thing had red lights all around it, and I was just looking at it. It was the dead of night, and then it took off, and you couldn't hear anything. Nothing moved. And then a few years later, a statue of the Virgin Mary was built in that very spot.
Right.
So that was my first, I know, religion and UFOs and
pulled it all
everything
together.
Coming together kind of in one thing.
Amazing.
So I've always believed from that time that, we're kind of just part of everything. We're not separate from anything, and nothing is separate from us.
So,
ever since then, I only had a couple encounters close up after that in my life until all of these things started showing up on my cameras.
And with you, sky scanning, are they always vehicles of a similar sort, or are there a wide range of different vehicles or UFOs?
They seem to be all kinds of different sizes, and the lights on them and things that seem to indicate that they're different sizes. And the actual things, the actual crafts that have zoomed over my yard or anything, or very close to me, you can see all these videos on my YouTube at All Things Exist Nevada. But I can't really tell what they are. They're too small to have people in them. And they're not like any kind of drones I've ever seen. I started researching drones, and there's nothing that looks like it or moves like it, or I don't know. I don't know what they are, but they're all different kinds.
Fantastic. This is why we're all fascinated by the damn things. But Heidi, bless you. Thanks for getting in touch. I hope you'll call us again, and you have a lovely day.
You too. Thank you so much. Good luck.
Thank you, my love. Bye-bye. Heidi there in Las Vegas, where I would imagine she's late afternoon. Hope she has a good night. Rich in Stockton-upon-Tees coming up very soon. But a little bit of music. We are the greatest hits. We drop in the odd track here and there. And a big thanks to Ian from Wedburn, who loved the little bit of a chat we had with Gabrielle. And says, sad news about Neil Peart from Rush passing. What a damn shame. And OMG, OMG, exclamation mark times 5. Alan, I've not lived in the Northeast for 15 years. I'm in Birmingham now, but I can't sleep because of morning sickness. Yes, I know it's night time. So excited you are still around. Love you, Tina. Tina, thank you very much. I'll dedicate the track to you. It is appropriate in the lines of what you've been saying.
This is the home of Alan Robson's Night Owls.
With the voice of the North.
Greatest Hits Radio.
And we are due a third clue. Let's get to it. Clue number 1. What drives Australia's bush disaster? What it's going through now. One is a hot thing and the other is a blowy thing. Write down the two things that drives Australia's bush disaster. Those two things. Second clue, a reggae word for the word that. It's very rare a reggae person sings that. Instead, they sing this word. And that was the name of a hit by a reggae superstar. Third clue, this man had a band called The Dreamers in the 1960s. Had a band called The Dreamers in the 60s. Somebody in The Dreamers, 1960s. What is your knowledge on greatest hits? You got one more clue to come, and then we'll see if we can work it out together. And we mentioned Rich. Here is the very man. Hello, Rich.
Hello, Alan. I'm back. How are you doing?
I'm good to hear you. Thank you for coming back. What you got for us tonight, then?
I didn't disappear. It's just because I think I was on about 3 weeks on the belt, so I thought I'd give you a little break. I'm still here listening. I'm loving them grisly tales with Tutankhamun and Florence Nightingale. I tell you what you said about Florence Nightingale, I didn't learn that at school.
No, there you go. No, absolutely. That's the fascinating thing about the whole... when you take a look without the frills and without the hype, what's the crack, and that's the kind of thing you find.
And I didn't know that either. Mae called that thing the inflatable thing a Mae West, so I've learned something new.
Tell you.
I didn't know that was a Mae West. No, I really didn't. But I do now, and I know what it is. Right.
Good to know. Thank you, mate.
Yeah, my first quick question. Did my card turn up at Christmas?
Can I tell you that it didn't, but I got one today from Lynn and Keith in Australia. So thank you. Just shows you the state of our postal service. A lot of people said that that their cards didn't reach me too. Did you send them to Metro, the old station?
I sent them to the place. Is it Summit Degrees North or something? I can't remember exactly.
I should have got it if that's the case, but I haven't. Yeah. There's a lot that I haven't received. But thank you for going to the trouble anyway, Rich. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm glad I'm not the only one anyway.
No, there's a few that have said they haven't received it, and I don't know whether there's been a bit of.
It's okay. It's okay.
Right, but okay.
I'll get on because it's been a few weeks, so I've got a few.
Okay.
My first thing, just about this sad thing, this Iran aeroplane getting shot down.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I don't condone it at all, and they said it was approaching a sensitive area.
Mm-hmm.
So what I wanted to ask, just out of curiosity, if a plane or something on radar approached London, would the RAF would our anti-aircraft open up and blow it out? Well, I don't know if we have anti-aircraft now. I don't know how it works, but would they blow it out of the sky? What would happen if it looked like it was threatening London? If it was like a fully, an airliner full of people, even if the RAF seen it and it refused to answer and just kept going towards London, would it just shoot it down, or what would happen?
Well, this is interesting because ever since watching these this stream of movies with Brendan Fraser, the London has fallen, the White House has fallen, the other place. Watching these kind of things, it makes you think that, well, they're obviously on the watch for anything heading in their direction. And remembering what happened with 9/11, for instance, which is horrible, would they take the risk and let something it's a civilian airliner, don't be so daft, it's just gone off the flight path a little bit? Would you take that chance? I don't know whether Britain has them or not. I mean, do we have them?
Did he have anti-aircraft guns in London still, like what we don't know about? Or, like, missiles, I mean, it'll be missiles now, won't it? Or...
Well, you'd hope. Got the ACAC next to the Alexandra Palace.
Yeah.
I've just never been aware of it.
Basically, whose decision would it be? Because they wouldn't have long to say yes or no, would they? Or would the RAF just do it?
Well, I think ultimately it would be the Ministry of Defence. It's some level. But on saying that, then you'd have to gain permission very, very quickly to shoot it down, because it would be time sensitive, wouldn't it? Obviously.
Yeah, I just wondered. Some of what I've never ever heard anybody talk about, so I thought I'd ask you, because you're the guy that knows everything.
Well, I don't know this. So if any night owl knows, what is the crack? Is there a missile system around our famous buildings around? The Palace, Buckingham Palace, say, for sake of argument, because I'm not sure that I've one in Downing Street that suddenly pops out of next door. Get the missiles. I've never heard of such things. But you've got to think they have to be.
Obviously, the potential of an airliner crashing in the middle of London in rush hour, you can imagine.
Yeah, absolutely.
How, so that's why I was thinking,
I will look into that within the next 7 days and hopefully have an answer for you.
Very curious about what would happen in that situation. I really am.
Absolutely.
Anyway, I'll move on from that one. My second one, which something else I've learned today, which I didn't know. I didn't know Belarus, a European country, still has the death penalty.
Yeah.
And you're right as well, because I had a quick look on the internet, and apparently they shoot people in the back of the head.
That's how they do it.
And Europe's told them to stop doing it, and they basically said to Europe, mind your own business.
Yeah, that's exactly.
You see,
this is one of the things that I tried to point out as we were looking towards Brexit. A lot of people were saying, but if you stay in Europe, you've got to do what they say. And if you look around Europe, even little countries, not necessarily great big countries, they all do their own thing to one regard or another. And if Britain wanted to toughen up who gets in and who doesn't. They always had the power to do it. It was a bit of a granny to say, oh no, we have to leave, otherwise we'd not be able to do that. Britain's always been able to do that, and it's interesting because we've just heard the details this morning on that massive survey. Britain's biggest ever national poll. 52% want to stay in the EU now. Now, if that's true, they're whispering around London that what Boris is actually going to do is leave Brexit, but not in the way that Brexiteers want. He's going to do it in name only, so we can keep getting all of the benefits without any of the negatives. And he thinks he's going to leave much of the deal, the deal's in place, so he doesn't even have to negotiate. He just says, look, we're leaving on name only. It's just to placate the public. That's what I think.
No doubt they'll all call him a liar again, and
all of that will happen. I'm feeling it before we even start. But
I'm going by the lead up to the election, what he said.
Well, but look what he said in the past. I mean, if he can escape the miseries of failure by simply lying his socks off, and then he comes back and everybody seems to. But remember last time what he said, and no, we believe Boris. He'll do it. I don't trust any of them, as far as I can.
No, I don't myself. But getting back to Belarus.
Yeah.
What I will say, because I had a quick look, and one of the guys, I don't know whether it's already happened, but to be honest with you, I read what he actually done, and he deserves a bullet in the head. Apparently, he cut an 8-month-old baby's head off.
Yes, yeah.
Oh, is that the one what you were seeing?
No, the one that I was referring to was 2 young kids. They hated their teacher, so they waited till they'd left school. One was, I think, was 19, the other was 21.
Yeah.
You go to school till you're 18 there. And the hate for this teacher who was always stopping them doing bad things. So they waited till they got out of school, the second one by a year, and then they went and killed the teacher. So they've killed the teacher, and they're going to get shot in the back of the head for it.
Oh, the one I read, it was a mother and father, I believe, and they tortured and murdered the 8-month-old baby. Apparently, it was their baby, and the mother got 25 years, which is the maximum for a woman, because they don't kill women, apparently, from what I read. Right. And he's got the death penalty, and that's what's going to happen to him, shot in the back of the head.
Right.
And it was their own kid what they killed in as well. So, but that leads me to the next one, like you were saying about leaving the EU. This, that, and the other. And if it happens, like what he said, and all the rest of it, we get take control back and that about the death penalty.
Yeah.
I know I've asked you before, but I don't know. I just it seems like there's. I don't think that we'll have a referendum, but there's. If we weren't in the EU, going by Belarus in Europe, which I really didn't know until tonight, there is a chance you could bring it back and you could just thumb your nose at Europe, sort of thing like they're doing, and they couldn't do anything about it, Europe.
But you see, this is the thing that we were told so many lies by both sides in this Brexit malarkey that we've stopped looking at our own laws. If you look at our own laws, there's bags of scope to tighten up who gets in and who doesn't. Europe doesn't make that decision. They don't make it for Germany, they don't make it for France, and they don't make it for Britain. They don't make it for Greece or Belarus or any. They don't make that decision. That's down to the individual country. So Britain could have done whatever it liked to tighten up security and who gets in and who gets out.
Yeah.
And if you add to that half a dozen other things about the only thing that Europe seemed to be really heavy on is making sure that they squeezed every potential euro or pound, if you prefer, out of business to get the best deal for other people within the EU. Now, I'm not a big fan of having power over Britain anywhere other than Britain. Never have been, which is the reason I didn't vote in the thing, because I could see the benefits and I could see the negatives. But most of the things that the Brexiteers, especially the Farages and whatever, they came up saying, but we can't do this and we can't do this and it costs us this and it costs us that. they never looked at what was coming the other way. And I think if people had realised what was coming the other way, I mean, about 25% of all the charitable organisations were funded by Europe, and now they've all had to, or they're all in the business of closing, because they're not going to get any money from Europe to run these charitable organisations that people, especially the mental health areas, it's tricky enough as it is. But I think it's going to be interesting to see where they go, or whether Boris bottles it and just does a Brexit on, Brexit in name only. It's a lot of people are whispering this, and I wonder if that's what's going to happen. Still, time will tell.
I'll be very, very, very surprised to see what comes of it all. But anyway, going on to my next one, which is a bit to do with that actually. You know where I'm from in Stockton area. There's a lot of it's happening all over. There's a lot of shops closing on the high street. Yes. There's like over here we've had like Marks and Spencer's has gone, Debenhams has gone, and I've read somewhere that New Look is actually closing as well. Plus there's been several others, like a big Fountains chocolate store went as well, and this, that and the other. And a lot of them seem to be blaming high council rates. Now, why don't the council just have all the rates for all the shops in the towns? So they're going to have full shops, more or less, full, like, they're not going to be vacated. There's going to be people in a mall, like businesses in a mall. So they're going to get, like, the rates off all of them, rather than have loads empty and not get anything off them. Mm. Why don't they just do that? Is there a reason, or they're not allowed to? I
think that what they want is to bring as much money in as they possibly can, because they know that if they can't sell the shop, they then keep the shop in operation, usually with a charity shop or something like that. But then that tends to cost them money rather than make them money. So I just think they're being very, very careful with it. It worries me because I actually quite like the high street, and I would like it to stay busy and full of people. I'm not one that can cope with internet shopping. Whatever you see on a screen is never the same as when you can pick it up and touch it and feel it. And do you know what I mean?
I'm very limited to what I do online because there's that many fraud on there. I'd rather go down the high street or down and pay a little bit extra, at least I know I'm getting what I want for my money and nobody's nicked me money on it while it's being sent on its way down the wires.
Exactly what I feel about it too.
Yeah. Anyway, my next one, I'll be quick.
Okay.
That thing about that Harry Dunn thing, the extradition of America, and basically I think America's just more or less said no in a diplomatic way. I don't know whether you've seen that.
Yes, I did. Uh-huh.
Yeah, and they said no. So is that it? Is there nothing they can do now?
Well, I think that they can still sue, but they just have to sue for punishment in America, and America will offer a defence, and hopefully we can come to some kind of resolution with it. I think that it would be better for all parties if she had the decency, remembering that she's stolen somebody's life, if she had the decency to say, I'll come back for the trial, even if she, does everything else on Skype or whatever with her solicitor, she can deal with it there, and then she comes across with her solicitor to face up to what what was her doing. So I would love to think that pressure will be put on her to do that, and yet yourself, whenever somebody's British who does something bad abroad, they tend to bend over backwards to try and rescue them instead of... And we've got somebody who did nothing bad in an Iranian jail, that woman's still in the Iranian prison, and with things going bad in Iran, how long is she going to be away from her family now? It's
I know.
It's terrifying, but we seem to defend the wrong ones, in my opinion. Countries in general, not just America, Britain too.
I know.
We do it.
My last one.
Okay.
Yeah, do you know when Trump does his visit here, or President does his here, and he brings them Secret Service fellas, and they have guns with bullets. Well, of course they have guns with bullets in that town.
Yes, they do. Uh-huh.
They're like armed and they're ready for action, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Would one of them Secret Service fellas be allowed to shoot somebody?
Yes.
Oh, they would.
Diplomatic immunity, and the armed forces with clearance to do that.
So to be allowed, so if somebody...
I mean, not
run
just
towards-
at random, not just, I don't like his
No.
tie or whatever.
What I'm getting at is, like, do you know when, I don't know if you can remember when Boris Johnson was going to the Queen and then protesters run across the road?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, now if that was like something like that and the president's car and they surrounded the president's car and they didn't know what they were going to do, like, imagine, I could see something like the Secret Service maybe is opening up with something like that because, you know, they do, don't. If you run towards the president, the chances are you're going to get shot. And would they be allowed to do that quite legally?
If it could be shown that they would there'd obviously be an inquiry that would last 10 years, and then ultimately nothing would happen to the guy who fired the shots. He was defending his president. I don't. You see, if you turn that around and say, even if a member of the British Secret Service shot somebody running towards the Queen's car, he had a rucksack on, we couldn't take the chance. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, yeah, I see what you mean. You always have a way of describing it perfectly.
Right.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, right. That's it for now. Then I've enjoyed my little chat. I've got through my list, and I'll be back again.
Good stuff. Hey, thanks for coming on. Appreciate it.
Absolutely love it, Alan. I really do. I'll be listening, and I hope we get more shows. I really do.
Well, thank you. Hey, fingers crossed. Can I just also say that I saw Starstream pop up on screen. We were trying to get through. I would love a conversation there because I'm worried about the guy concerned. I think it was his... she is coming on. Oh, that's good. I don't see her in my list anymore, so I was just a little bit concerned we were going to miss a chat. Right. I think it's late enough in the show for me to give you the fourth clue. Okay? Right. Clue number 1. What drives Australia's bush disaster? It's something hot and something bluey. Okay? Second clue. Regular word that means that. Okay? Third clue. Had a band called the Dreamers in the 1960s. And the fourth clue is Frank, an amiable ex-boxer. If you look for missing words, once you get all of the answers, Frank, an amiable ex-boxer. Okay? You got 4 clues. If you look for the missing words, like surnames or other words connected to the answer that you've got, they all have one thing in common. What's it? Whip out me what's it right now if you can link the 4 clues. 0191 488 3188. Chris on our switchboard has the answer right now. And if you can do it, well, you go and do it. We've got Terry, the Geordie poet, on the line as well from Bonnie Benwell. Hi, Terry.
Hi, Alan. It's Terence, your decorator.
Hey, good to hear from you, Terry. What can we do for you?
I've wrote one for Christmas, and I'm hoping you're taping it.
I am. I'm taping it right now. Now I know it's you. Go for it.
Right. It's about Christmas Eve.
Okay.
An evening tide when it's cold outside and the snow is all around. When the house is dark and dogs don't bark and no one hears a sound. That's when a reindeer hoof hits the roof. You know that Santa's abound. We must close our eyes while we eat mince pies and the reindeers eat their cheese. Then he leaves the toys for the girls and boys and hopes that they will please. Spare a thought for the way you're taught that it's better to give than receive. There'll be a girl or boy without a toy. Would you leave them in the lurch? Say a prayer and give a care. Leave them something at your church. Then you will know with a happy glow that you're warm inside and don't feel cold on this our evening tide.
Yeah, that's very nice. Good job, Terry. You've still got it, mate. Well done.
Right.
Excellent. Thank you for coming on. That's short, sharp, and to the point. There's Terry, the Geordie poet. Now, I mentioned our Starstream friends. On my last day, on the previous incarnation, Sam and Rachel came down from Starstream. Now, never met them before, but had a lot of emails and texts and all that kind of stuff over the weeks, months. And I heard something terrifying the last time that Sam came on. And I think it's Rachel who's there in Newcastle. Hi, Rachel.
Hi, Alan.
Hello.
First time caller.
And no, how's things?
Not very good, I'm afraid.
We were given it like a time scale for him out of the blue the last time we were talking.
Yeah,
and
he was diagnosed about the 8th of October.
Right.
And he was meant to go in on the 1st of November, and he refused it.
What is this for chemo?
No, for removal of... he's got a large glioblastoma. It's pretty bad.
Yeah, whereabouts?
I think it's on his left-hand side.
Right.
And it's pressing on both of the optic nerves, so in each eye on the left-hand side.
Oh, blimey.
He's gone blind and he's had to stop driving. I mean, our life has just totally changed overnight.
No, I bet.
And he was sat in front of the mixer and the keyboard and the computer the other night, and he said to me, Rachel, I don't remember how to do it. I can't do it anymore.
Oh, my goodness.
I don't remember how to do it.
And that was his life.
That was his life. He's more technical, I'm more creative. So,
Right,
I think I'm going to have to try and get a bit more technical.
I think so.
But what it is, Alan, is he collapsed on the bathroom floor on the 20th of November.
Mm-hmm.
We managed to sort of bring him back to life. My son, he's been really good. He's 14, my middle son.
Right.
And we managed to bring him, back to life, and we got him into hospital.
Good gracious.
More steroids, all this sort of thing.
Yeah.
I'm not going to have a surgery, not going to have a surgery. And he woke up on Saturday lunchtime, and he was in agony, and he said, right, I want the surgery.
Right.
I want to get this thing out of my head.
Right.
We got him in. I came home about 1:30, and I got a phone call at 5:30. So I've only had about 20 minutes sleep since Saturday lunchtime, because I had a sleep in.
Right.
And it's really bad, and they said that was suggested that I went in because it wasn't looking very good. He sort of went very rigid, and they thought maybe he'd had a seizure. Yeah, but they couldn't quite find out.
Right.
So what they've done is they had sedated him and put tubes up his nose, down his mouth.
So has he had the up?
No, he hasn't, Alan. He might have left it too late.
Oh,
he might not be able to have it. And it's a case of, if they can try and stabilise him, they're going to maybe see if they can get him in tomorrow. I've got to go back in tomorrow and find out. I've been back and forth about 4 times today. I'm absolutely my life has just been blown up. And I'm so lonely, and I don't know what to do. I went upstairs, and I sat on the bed, and put my dressing gown on, and I looked at the bed, and he's not there, Alan. And I'm so sad. I've been with him since I was 17, and I'm 39 now, and he's my life.
Yeah.
And I've had all the talks from the nurses and to be prepared for the worst, basically. And basically they're saying they might be able to take the tumour out. They won't be able to take it all out. It's gone too far.
Right.
If he's too disabled after the surgery, he will not be able to have radiotherapy. Or they might not be able to do anything, and he's just going to slip off soon.
What was his decision about not having it in the first place? And I
Well,
know,
he's
I mean, you'd be.
bugger, isn't he?
I know, but you'd be frightened. Of course, you'd be frightened. My goodness.
Yeah, absolutely.
But his thought was that he'd just go along until he passed. Was that what he was thinking?
No, Alan, he didn't want to end up like a cabbage. But as I said to him the other day, it's eating your brain away. And if you don't go in, babes, it's going to get worse, and you're not going to be able to come out properly. Yeah. And he just got a bit nasty because he's getting confused. He can't tell the time.
But you see, bottom line is he's scared too, and you can't blame him for being scared.
Of course he is, and I just wish he'd gone in sooner. But I mean, I've respected all his wishes, and I've been, he's been on the steroids and everything, and I don't know what to do. I'm hopeful that they can stabilise him. And they can take it out, and hopefully he's not too bad after the op, and he can have the radiotherapy. But
you see,
it's not looking good.
I know, but and I know you've had talks from far more professional people than I. It's their business, isn't it, to deal with this kind of thing. But in my experience of just life in general, quite often things come at you that you've got no control over whatsoever. It's not. Yeah. It's not like a problem with a mixing desk where you can, if you just add a bit of this and take a bit of that, then it'll sound fine.
Yeah.
There's some things that no matter what you do, you can't change them. And if you can't change them, you have to live with them. And the unfortunate thing is, even if the worst of the worst happens, and we're all hoping and praying that that's not the case, you will get on, you will survive, you will see it through, because you got the bends.
Yeah, I mean they're 12 and 14 and 19.
Well, I mean they're all ages that
Yeah.
they need their mum and their dad.
Yeah.
But you will then become mum and dad. But I get a feeling that you've probably had to do that in recent weeks anyway.
Yeah, it has. It's gotten quite bad, you know. Also, you know, we're about to do our first music video, and he says, let's get this out, you know, let's get this sorted and get this out and finish. I've got some beautiful songs which we've got to get out there.
Right.
But obviously, you know, it's not priority.
Sure.
And
how are you managing though financially? Because that all just stopped, I'm guessing.
yes, it has stopped. We couldn't take all the big jobs a few years ago because we had no family network support. So I had to turn down Las Vegas and Pride and several Prides. But, you know, things across Europe. It's been really awful. So we've had to try and just, you know, do it from the internet, and we got the camera and everything ready for the video. And it's just everything's gone so fast.
Yeah.
You know, like an absolute whirlwind, and I don't know what to do. It's just day by day.
That's all you got.
But I mean, he was a little more responsive when I left this evening.
Right.
But I'm absolutely terrified. He kept sort of half waking up and trying to pull the tubes out of his mouth.
Right.
And had to put these massive, what look like boxing gloves. He looks like he's ready to jump in the ring with Mike Tyson. You know, we've had to put those on him. And when he's not very calm, I just say, you know, babes, I'm here, stroke his hair. And he sees his eyebrow move, and he knows it's me. And he's got the eyebrow, is that you? Is that you, babes? Yes, that's me, you know. But it's awful.
No,
I'm always connected to him, Alan. Right? I'm very sensitive. I've been in the hospital. I've been seeing things move and go since the whole thing. And ever since we met, we've had a connection, such a strong mental connection. And I can't feel him anymore, Alan.
Right.
And I know he's still here, but I can't feel him anymore. And I'm sat here, and it's like he's not here. It's like he's not on this plane. It's like he's already gone.
I think the thing that you're going to have to remember now, there's going to be huge changes, whatever happens, Whatever happens, there's going to be huge changes in your life. It's not going to be as it was, whatever happens. I think they've told you that in a roundabout way without being quite as brutal as I have, but it's not going to be the same again.
No, I know.
And when you realise that, you also have to look a little bit deeper and say, it's not going to be as we've had it. But the one thing that you're missing is you've had that for 20 years.
Yeah, 22.
And that's more than many people have in their lifetime. You know, some people get 2 or 3 years of happiness, and then it just gets ordinary and plain and day by day, and the magic isn't there. Trust me, there's very few people that have the right person for 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 22 years. I think, first of all, we got to count a few blessings, and then hope we can use a blessing or two of them to look after him and keep him safe and as well as is humanly possible.
Yeah. Do you want to know the other thing as well?
What's that?
They stuck him on universal credit because he was in a bad car accident and he was having a bit of help at points, and they stopped it. About a month before he was diagnosed, because he kept on getting upset at things, and I'm thinking, what's going on? You know, I thought maybe he had Alzheimer's. You know, I wasn't sure. And they dragged him in after years for a medical and went, you're absolutely fine.
A little did they know.
So he's standing there with a brain tumour, and I'm standing with him in the job centre going, I cannot believe I am holding a doctor's note when I had the Japanese tourists last year holding their telephones up at me, because I'm nobody around here. We're just on Reverb Nation here. Nobody really knows who I am. But I do get recognised, and people from other countries, you know, are like, oh, you know, and they'll point and you go, oh, goodness, you know, when you get a bit embarrassed, you know, but it's absolutely, I mean, what a contrast.
No, absolutely. I just look back and, you know, if only life was like a recording set and you could just rewind and edit the bad bits. It's just not like that. And I remember seeing the two of you outside the building and thinking, what a beautiful couple they are. And how he was batting above average and, joking with you about it. And, last thing I expected was something that came out of the blue, and I've just been longing to find out where you were still at. So thanks for getting back to it.
I haven't been on.
No.
Alan, can I say, just for the record, I was absolutely starstruck when I met you.
Oh,
You've been my idol since I was about 8 years old, and I was so nervous when I was walking up the road to meet you. I was absolutely sweating, and I was so nervous. It was an honour to meet you,
and
I hope to meet you again.
Back at you. We'll make a point of it. Whatever happens, I'll come and see him.
Well, we had been putting an acoustic thing together, like before night. We found out about Night Owls finishing on the other, on the other station. So I mean, never say never.
No, absolutely. And you never know how lucky you are. You see, you are going through life thinking, oh, this is what life is, and you're actually miles ahead of many. You've been very, very lucky. And
the curse of being a songwriter, which is hell sometimes,
Yeah. Oh, my goodness.
But,
love to you both. Please pass it on, Rachel, if you will.
I will do. If I can get in there, because I just cannot get to him at the minute, and it's so scary. So hopefully it'll be better tomorrow, and I will, Alan. Thank you.
Bless you. Take care.
Right. Lots of love, Alan.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
I'm just going to play a song.
This is the home of Alan Robson's Night Owls.
With the voice of the North.
Greatest Hits Radio.
You are with the big one. We've got Alison, who's in Anfield playing. Hi, Alison.
Hi, Alan.
Hello, darling.
How are you doing?
I'm good.
Can I just, before I start, can I just send you a big virtual hug?
Well, thank you, darling. And
and also to Rachel as well, and just let her know that literally, I hope I'm speaking from everybody that's sitting listening. Just sending out loads of love, and her husband, and just.
Let's just hope that can work like a positive thing for him. He needs whatever luck he can get at the minute.
That's it, yeah.
Right.
Yes, very, hard times for her, very hard times. But when we were talking earlier about aliens and life forms and things like that and other things, it just got kind of sparked my views on things, because I believe that kind of we're part of something much bigger than what we actually kind of believe we are or understand we are.
Right.
So it's kind of like...
What do you think it is, then?
I don't know. I really don't know. But we can't really explain we can't explain where we came from. Nobody's really come up with the answer yet. It's like there's lots of different theories of what people think and what people kind of come up with, but nobody's kind of come up with the definite one. I was watching a Blue Planet thing tonight, and they were kind of saying we could have come from the bottom of the ocean, because there's new things happening in the bottom of the ocean now that they're finding out, and it's kind of like nobody really knows what we are.
And and how we became, because and I know it's a bit different from an Attenborough Spectacular, but the Budweiser commercial that showed us as little mud skippers coming out of a pond, growing legs and becoming lizards, and then up to monkeys and man and what have you.
Yeah.
That's what we've always presumed, but we don't know. You're quite right what you're saying.
Yeah, and nobody really knows. Like, I've been looking loads lately into the three principles. I don't know whether you know anything about the three principles.
I do indeed, yes.
Yeah, it's kind of like I love all of that stuff, and we don't know the full potential of our mind.
Right.
And it's kind of, you think like people think about aliens and people that are around, but we don't actually know the full potential of our bodies and our minds. And listening to Rachel when we were just talking, I don't know if she's heard of like people like Anita Mojani and things like that, who, I don't know if you've ever heard. It's kind of like people do have miracles, and they don't know why it happens.
Now, I mean, for those people that don't necessarily know what the three principles are, I'm presuming what you mean is mind, consciousness, and thought. Is that what you mean, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of people believe that is everything. behind human existence. It's all.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily that we were here in body, but we were always here, either in mind, consciousness, and thought, and it all kind of comes from that. It's deep stuff, but there's lots of books out about it, and an awful lot of them from the Far East as well that kind of write about it.
Like the Dalai Lama and things like that. It's all those kind of things that they believe that, because we're born and we die, and people think that's the beginning and the end.
Sure.
And I don't believe it is.
It's
at all.
It's strange because I've read a couple of those books, and at first you think, nah, and then the more you actually start thinking about it, you think, hey, you know, this actually might be the truth behind us all.
Yeah,
they've made a few movies about this kind of thing as well.
Yeah, they have. Yeah, and it's kind of like The Secret and things like that. It's all down like those kind of lines.
Yeah.
But it's fascinating to kind of start looking into something that's not all black and white.
Yeah,
and you can come up with your own kind of ideas of what is right and what is wrong and what's good and what's bad, because it's how we live our lives and how we're dictated to by people that are above us and the government and everybody that's controlling everything. It's just their thought, and they're capable of exactly the same thoughts as you and me.
Yes.
And they think that they are right. They think that that is the right way to go. And I think that's what causes a lot of the problems.
I agree with you. Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I do think times are changing like rapidly now. So I think that we could in our lifetime see the changes.
Really? I'm not quite so sure of that, because it would need some major changes. I mean, from people within power to open up to all of that. I'm not even sure how they would do it, but
no, I'm not sure either.
If you got to look at the people that we'd be expecting to deliver such things, and if you look at who we've got at the moment,
capable.
Yeah, that's kind of where I am too. Anything else, then, Alison?
No, it was just coming out with that. There was loads of things, but it's just I think now we just need to send all our thoughts to Rachel and her husband.
No, absolutely. Thank you, Alison.
And
Bless
I
you,
wish him a miracle.
No, absolutely. We could do with a miracle right there. But, hey, maybe we have the positivity between us to do that. Now, we've got about half a dozen people that want to get onto the show. So what I'm going to do is put two of them on together, because we've got about 4 or 5 minutes left. So we're going to get Jean from Reckinton on, and also Linda from Barrisford. Hello, ladies.
Hello.
Hello, Jean.
Hello.
Hello. Say hello to Jean.
Hello, Linda. Hello.
Hello. So what you two been up to then?
I've got a quick poem to say.
Oh, go on then.
It's for Prince Harry, Meghan and Archie.
Right.
And I've written to them. Go with your dreams, follow your hearts, give all your love, that you never may part. Don't worry about people will say, you're the important ones, okay? So I wish for a wonderful family like you is love, trust and happiness and health too.
Oh, nice.
This is what I'm sure your mother, Princess Diana, would want of you.
Oh, that's canny, isn't it? That's nice, Jean.
That's nice, isn't it?
There you go. So what you been up to, Jean?
What I've been up to? Christmas. I put next door, put the fence up. A present. Like that's a light, lovely lamp. That lamp thing. It's lovely.
Right.
And yeah, see you something. We come if we could run away from. I didn't. Oh, bloody hell. It's single mum, but I got a friend of me.
We've never talked much about what kind of stuff you got for Christmas. What was your favourite present at Christmas, Linda?
Oh, perfume.
Perfume? What does it smell like then? Ghost. Does that mean you smell it and then everybody wonders where it came from? He who smelt it dealt it. We all know the truth.
Yeah.
Right,
I had a lot of nice little presents as well.
That's good. What about you, Jean?
I've got a French Connection perfume. French Connection.
French collection.
Connection, French Connection, man.
French Connection.
Yes, that's where I got some of that.
French Connection? Is that not drugs?
No, man. It's perfume.
I'm sure
man.
Gene Hackman thinks it's drugs, the French Connection. I've seen the film, The French Connection.
I know, but the perfume's called, the shop called that one in Newcastle. Shop.
Selling drugs?
No, man. It's a shop.
It's a shop, and it sells drugs.
It's the industry.
Oh, it's perfume.
Yes.
Okay.
Collection, Alan.
Oh, correction.
No, collection.
No, it's connection.
Yeah, correction.
Connection, no. It's connection,
Oh,
man.
I'd quite like a French woman to correct me, mate, I must admit.
You better not have Jennifer Jennifer
Oh, all right, she can correct me. She corrects me as it is, it has to be said.
Then blame her.
What do you mean you can't
Can't
blame her?
Blame you.
I tell
Aye.
you, I know.
You
Well,
know that man that got murdered in from the Iranian embassy?
Yes.
We're going to behead them. Got that down there in the Saudis. That's what they're doing.
right, it is, absolutely.
I don't know.
Yeah, you got to be careful. I wonder what you get. I wonder what kind of punishment you get for French correction.
I don't know.
I don't know either. Look, you've got a minute. A pair of you can say hello to anybody you want to say hello to.
Hello, Linda. Hello. And my good wishes for that lady. My good for that lady.
That's you.
Best wishes for that lady. My love for that lady.
Yeah, absolutely. Love to hear.
See you soon. No time. I say no time. Like, ring you up Linda later.
All right. Thank you, ladies.
Bye.
There you go. Well, that was good. Team up. We'll see how many more we can get on maybe next week. Get a dozen of you in a dozen different venues. 4 clues. You're not doing very well at these. What drives Australia's bush disaster? It's something hot and something blowy. A reggae word for that word, for the word that. That's their hit record for somebody. Look up who it was. He had a band called The Dreamers in the 60s. And Frank, an amiable ex-boxer. They all have a word missing that's connected. How?